Hey bitches, welcome back to Bitch with Comrade Misty. I am Comrade Misty. This week I'm super excited. I have my rowdy friend ready to rock with me today. I figure this is going to be a good one because Warren is just as ornery as I am. So we're going to exercise some demons. So this is the host of, is it Extra Bulla? Or because you came prepared, sir.
I brought holy water. This is exercise of demons.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah, it's extra. Well, to be honest, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it.
Because when I was on your show, you're like, welcome to Extra Bulla or Bulya or Bulya, whatever you want to say. And I'm like, wait, dude, it's your show.
I know, right? Maybe too many of these little characters. Well, it's Latin for outside the bubble. But I always thought that Latin was you have the double L, so that was a ya sound, right? So booyah. But you get some of them country folk on there going, "Hey, we're gonna get up on the extra bulla tonight. Extra bullas for everybody." Woo! So I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. Just watch the fucking show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter what you call it. I love very little ambiguity to the name of my show. And it's funny because people will still complain because I bitch on the show. Like, all you do is complain. It's literally the name of the show.
Right?
Okay, hold on. Anyways, before we start, you guys know I'm gonna get sidetracked, so let me do this real quick. So you guys know for the past few weeks I've been trying to hype up somebody who has a website or sells stuff or is a musician or an artist or whatever. Especially as we roll into the holidays, you guys can support like local small businesses and people like that. So this week I'm doing the Revolutionary Art Collective, which I learned about through Artsy Marxist. I believe she's like a founding member or whatever. So this is just like a really cool website where you can go. Here, I'll share their website with you guys so you can take a look at what it looks like. Okay, so this is the Revolutionary Art Collective, and they just, it's really, here's Artsy Marxist shop, which you guys know her, you know how much I love her stuff right there. Oh, and there's one back there too, but you can't see it. But it's just a bunch of different artists who do revolutionary art, and their different websites and places where you can purchase their artwork. And so if you guys can support their work in whatever way that you can, obviously that's great. Treat yourself to some art is amazing. Everybody should enjoy some art. Treat yourself, as they say, as the cool kids would say. Yeah, so and I'll drop the website in the chat so everybody can go and check it out. It's also in the the little box below, down there, little description, whatever the fuck it's called.
It's somewhere.
So yeah. Yeah, it's down there. So yeah, anyways, welcome to the show, dude. I'm excited to have you because I was on your show, we had a lot of fun, so I figure this is gonna be a blast too. There's a lot to bitch about, as always.
I know, right? That's the good thing about your show is like you never run out of material, No. And I gotta tell you, when you were on my show, I was checking, I go through and I look at the content and stuff on my my site, and your live stream with me was probably the longest one that I've had. Maybe Reef was close, but yours were the longest because I know it's good because we were just like boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, it's like 2.5 hours later. I'm like, Jesus.
I tend to do that. I have to apologize on a regular basis because with Facts, my other show, Facts on the Ground with Jesse Zerwell, I've had to like start forcing myself to ask our guests like, how long do you have? Because it's not uncommon for us to go 2+ hours if people will let us. And we've had people be like, hey, it's getting kind of late. It's dinner time. I'm hungry. We got to wrap this up. I have a tendency to do that.
Beards are growing.
Yeah. But I enjoy long form conversations with people. I don't like I guess interviews are fine. I do those like on Facts. We generally interview people about a specific topic or whatever. And that's fine. It's very useful and I can learn a lot of things in those spaces. But it's fun to just like sit down and just talk to somebody. Like not have a script or like something you need to talk about or questions you need to ask, to just talk about whatever comes up. So that's like my favorite. That's my favorite stuff to do. So it's not uncommon for me to go really long.
and no, I have to do the same thing. I always ask people in advance, like, how much time can you give me? Because we will go a while. Like last week, I had Franco on, and I said, "How long you got for me?" And he said, "Well, I could do about an hour." And an hour and 45 minutes later, I looked at the clock. I was like, "Dude, it's an hour 45." He goes like, "Yeah, well, you know, I gotta go, I guess." So he
Yeah.
was like, "Oops." I think he might have been in Dutch with the missus. So
I do that. I do that a lot too. I will like people will tell us I only have an hour, and I'll look up and it's like an hour 20, and I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and I feel really bad. Like I always feel really bad, but I'm really terrible at time management. I have severe
right.
ADHD, so that's not one of my strong suits at all. It's not
Well,
at all.
Well, back in the 90s, I was a news producer. So like timing was like the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had to be in at a certain time. You had to be out at a certain time for like doing the local news, that kind of thing. And so yeah, so now that I'm not in news anymore and I'm just shooting the shit with people, it's like there's like something like in the back of my brain saying, dude, you might want to
Wrap
check
it up.
time.
Wrap it up. Yeah.
But then there's another part of me that says, fuck it, man. You don't work for those assholes no more. You do what you want.
Right.
So, but I feel the same way. I'm like, I feel a little bad, especially if it's somebody I don't know very well.
Yeah.
And, you know, oh shit, I'm so sorry. But, you know, they're always chill. They always say they have a good time. So they're either lying or, you know, they just don't want to hurt my feelings. But
Yeah.
either way,
or like if it's like somebody who's like a serious person, like a respectable person, which I know that sounds ridiculous, but you know what I mean? Like somebody who's like, you know, an academic, like we had Piers Robinson on a couple weeks ago. And we went like 20 minutes over and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And it's always like, if it's somebody like Pasta and Fee, or if it's, you know, somebody in our spheres, I'm like, I feel bad, but it's like, oh, but if it's like, you know, somebody who has like a respectable life to go live. You know what I mean?
we call them decent people. Them
Yeah,
decent people,
decent
you know,
people.
they got shit to do.
I'm kidding, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Well, I have a good 4.5 hours for you tonight, so it's it's all good.
Nice.
I have another one of these in the fridge too, so we could go 5.5 until but if you see me like this, that means I'm probably done. So
Right. I gotcha.
I like
gotcha.
visual cues.
I usually try to wrap this up in 2 hours. That's usually my goal. Sometimes we go over, and really that was only because Sleepy Josh was helping me. And he
Right.
does so much for so many people that I don't like to take up too much of his time if I don't have to. So I was trying to like, you know, keep it but now I'm like a tech genius. I'm literally an anon at this point. And I can do it all by myself.
Are you running this show tonight? You're teching this yourself tonight?
I am producing this bitch and everything, you guys. Literally, this bitch. You know, I am producing
I like
this
bitch.
Yeah, but to be fair, I know it's like kind of a dad joke, but I'm a mom, so I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, but Sleepy Josh did all the hard work. Like he got everything set up, and now I literally just have to push buttons because StreamYard is super easy. It really is. I highly recommend it for people who are not good at that stuff because it is really easy.
Yeah. Like if you're just starting out live streaming and you're not really like tech savvy that much, you know, I think that's like perfect. I use Streamlabs OBS because I'm like a Photoshop nut, obviously. You've seen some of my creations. So
my banner's still up there, dude.
Yeah. Hey, you know, at least I'm good for something, right? But I used to do news graphics as well. I worked at this TV station on the Gulf Coast. It was a news startup, and we literally built that place from the ground up. We built the set. We had to hook up all the computers. We had like editing equipment that came from Arkansas in a horse trailer. True story. Well, hand-me-downs from the mothership. They said, here, you can have this crappy equipment. In fact, we're going to send it in something where horse shit used to be. But we had to build graphics and stuff for like that too. So, and this was like, you know, this is back around 2000. And so now when I was doing my show, I said, well, you know, I'm going to build my own shit. I had to learn how to use Streamlabs OBS and all the subtle nuances, but it's a lot like what we used in television, just to a smaller scale. And and that's great for anybody that's ready to like I said, this or like what you're using, you know, the more voices that we get out there, the better, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree with that. And I'm so tired of people saying, oh, we don't need any more podcasters. Yes, we fucking do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. If you have a desire or like any like interest whatsoever in starting a show, do it. Please do it. We need more people talking because there's strength in numbers. They can't silence everybody. And so I will say this, I always try to put the caveat in there that putting yourself out there publicly is not for everybody. It is not easy.
Right.
You are going to get shit on. You're going to get smeared. You're going to get slandered. You're going to get harassed. They're going to try to fuck with your personal life. You know, these people are, you know, scum of the earth. You know what I'm saying? So it's not for everybody. You need to have thick skin. You need to, you know, if you like cry at the drop of a hat, or if you get, you know, your feelings hurt over, you know, Twitter, some Twitter troll calling you out, it's not for you. And that's okay. That is okay. But if you think you can handle that kind of stuff, then please do it. Start a show. I'll help you boost your show. I'll have you on my show. I do that all the time. Like, we should all be doing that. Nico did it for me. Nico came on my show when I had like 300 subscribers. And he's like one of the only people with a larger platform that does that on a regular basis. So
Nice.
yeah, I
like Nico.
Nico's great. He gets, like, a lot of people have very strong opinions about him, which I understand. Nico is a very strong and big personality, like, and he's not for everybody. That's okay. But some of the shit that's said about him is really ridiculous, and it makes me angry because genuinely, and I realize I'm biased because he's a friend of mine, he is one of the most generous and like kindest people I know. He's not worried about his own personal benefit. Like with MCSC, like I was approached. I don't know if I can actually say that out loud. Probably not. We haven't announced it yet, so maybe I'll shut up. But like no, it's not scandalous. But he's not worried about his own stuff. He wants to get the message out however that's possible. He's not worried about his own personal benefit. Like when we all joined MCSC, like Steve, myself, a bunch of people joined at the same time. He straight up told us, I don't want anything from you other than like just produce content. I'm just trying to give you a bigger platform to get your message across by using the network. And so, I mean, we don't have any restrictions. We don't have any like criteria we have to meet. We don't have anything. We just, you know, he's just trying to help us use his platform, to push our shows and messages. You know what I mean? So yeah, he gets a lot of shit, but I love Nico House. He's a great dude.
You're absolutely right. And not all creators are for everybody, and not all people should be creators. You know, we all have our roles in the movement. You know what I mean? Before I was creating, I was just sharing stuff that everybody else was doing, just trying to push, get the communication lines open for introduce people that may not have a clue about your show or anybody else's that we know, get them to know these wonderful personalities that are telling you the truth, because you have the mainstream media that has just been dominant for so long. It's like you said, safety and numbers. The more numbers we have, the more variety we can provide people as far as like information is concerned, as far as like education, collaboration, that sort of thing. You can't get that with the mainstream media. Mainstream media just kind of blurts it out to you, and you take it or leave it. And
it's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit. And the more numbers you have, the more you're able to drown out that bullshit too. Like our buddy Indie Left started the Indie News Network that I'm a proud member of. Here's my little P right there. Plug. And shout outs to the fam.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of wonderful creators.
You guys, Tara Reid. I love Tara Reid. I adore her. She's fantastic.
Tara Reid's in there.
Yeah.
Robert Durden, he's already starting trouble. That little asshole.
Yeah, I was on that panel with him on FHL. Boy, the shitlib left really got their panties in a bunch over some stuff that Rob said. Let me tell you, he's gonna kick us on ass. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, calm down, you children. So ridiculous. God, there were people. Dude, there were people who dedicated their entire weekend to hate watching the General Strike Summit. Like, that's how they spent
Yeah.
their entire weekend. What kind of loser do you have to be to spend your whole fucking weekend from 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night hate watching something just so you can selectively clip out parts that you don't like to complain about? It's sad.
And
Oh,
it
I
was
feel
so
bad.
pathetic too, the complaints that they had, right? It's like, because at first I want to say like Hassan and Owen Higgins, those
Hey, I made
brainiacs.
it into an Owen Higgins article. That's right.
Woohoo!
Look, hey, look, Ma, I made it.
Did you take a bath afterwards? Were you just like, oh,
And I think
oh,
he labeled me as a far right, a platformer of far right militia or something like that. I'm like, dude, you're a full on
oh, right,
clown, full
yeah.
on
That
clown ass.
who said Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus is dead? Those guys are keeping it alive, that's
Oh,
for sure.
dude,
And it's because they don't do shit, right? That
no.
I have never seen any of those ass clowns like do any sort of activism.
No.
All
Have you
they
ever seen
do is
Hassan
just
at a protest? Have you ever seen Hassan organize anything? Have you ever seen Hassan? Like, the only thing that dude knows how to do is brand for himself and then shit on other people for what he claims is branding. And I'm like, dude, you're in. He did that to FHL. He was like, yeah, activism is when you co-opt a movement on popular policy, and to like create a branding opportunity. Your entire existence is a branding opportunity. That's all you do. Like, what are you
yeah.
talking about? You're not doing shit. If you it's the same thing with the turd in Miami shitting on the March for Medicare for All and was like, oh, well, I'm gonna organize one that's gonna be better. We're gonna have professionals there. Where the fuck is that march? I still haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting. TikTok.
It was all crickets. It was
Yeah.
all crickets. Yeah,
Christ.
maybe it was like a slow walk. Maybe it was like maybe a crawl. Wasn't necessarily a march,
Yeah.
that kind
They're
of
like
thing.
army
But that's
crawling for Medicare for All. Yeah.
they're all talk. And when you actually like put your money where your mouth is, they're like, well, that's got to be some sort of grift. That's got to be some sort of scam. It's like, no, dude, it's action. We're taking action. You could take a lesson from that. But that's it. I think that was just the whole shitting on the FHL General Strike Summit, which was fantastic.
It was.
The whole 3 days was just so much information, so many people involved. And congratulations to them. And
Yes.
you knew it
They're
was
now
as
getting death threats, by the way.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very sorry that that's happening, but when you know shit like that is happening, you're doing something right,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately that's kind of the side effects of it. These assholes are just going to crawl out of the woodwork and just start shit with you because, they're trying to shut it down, because you are reaching a lot of people. They were doing they were averaging at least 500 viewers on the low
And that's
end
live. Yeah, and that was just on YouTube. I
live,
think they were on their Rockfin too, but I don't know how many was on the Rockfin. But that was
right?
just live. I mean, it was amazing. And you're right. There was a lot. What I loved about it is it was a great variety of speakers. I wish there would have been honestly some more maybe libertarian minded, rightly, like to really bring people in. Here come the
Yeah.
people saying, see, look, she's a secret right winger. No, I'm not. But I think that would have been beneficial to have people from that spectrum too, to find those commonalities. But it was still like there was a really diverse like mindset, and people were coming from different angles, the way that they had it into different categories where people were coming to kind of discuss the thing that was most important to them or that they specialize in or whatever. And it was really fun to like hear all these different perspectives, and even like people I don't agree with, because there were people I don't agree with, like for example, and I use him as an example all the time because I love him and I think he knows it, but Shahid Buttar, I have disagreements with him. He knows it. We've like kind of argued about it on my show twice. You know what I mean? Like he still believes in electoral politics. I do not. And he was talking about his, how he still thinks electoral, and I disagreed with him, but that's okay. Like I know that in my opinion, I feel like he's an honest actor. He's coming with good intentions. And so those are the kinds of people that, even if we disagree, I still want to hear your opinion. I respect your opinion. I feel like we can have conversations like Shahid and I have done, and never with any hard feelings or anything like that. We disagree. We know we go kind of back and forth, and then we wrap up the conversation and it's fine. I wish more people could do that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's okay to have disagreements. And there were a lot of people that I don't agree with. There were some people I like don't even like I don't like them. But that's okay. Like people who were freaking out because I was speaking or Nico was speaking or whatever, like you need to just grow the entire fuck up. I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, either that or organize your own goddamn event. Do that.
Yeah, put up or shut up. Yeah, put up or shut up. And it was like people from everywhere too. You had like our little club, like Indie News Network had some folks there. Mikasa Sukasa, of course, Fred Hampton Leftist was hosting it. You had Hardlands Media out of Chicago. I mean, everybody, it was like rally the troops around this. And what you were talking about earlier, how you wanted to get like more maybe some other voices maybe that are more towards the right involved in that. I think this kind of thing kind of sets up for a future endeavor that will include folks like that. This is kind of like to me, it just seemed like it was kind of an icebreaker. You know what I mean? Like getting the family, big ass family reunion, getting everybody together, you know, whether you were on screen, you know, talking in the forum, or if you were behind the scenes doing tech, or if you were just sharing with everybody had a role to play. And I think it was just the energy was just so amazing from that weekend. And I can't wait to do more. You know what I'm saying?
It was very collaborative. It felt really open-minded. At least those people who you know, were in it, like again, who were like honest actors, who weren't bad faith trolls. The people who were into it, like it was I think it was you know, it was very open-minded. Like I said, there was people I didn't agree with, there's people I don't like. I haven't watched all the panels yet because there was a lot, and I've been sick and all kinds of stuff has been going on, so I haven't seen everybody yet. But you know, being able to have like such a diverse group of thought and have just open that line of communication and to start that conversation and to really discuss about where we go from here, what everybody's opinions are, where we think that our energy should be going, and how we should be, you know, setting things up and all of that stuff. It felt like we're finally doing something. And a lot of people were giving it shit like, I think it was Hassan who was like, yeah, activism is or a general strike is when you watch my live stream. No, dumb fuck. What do you think a summit is? Like, a summit is like a meeting of the minds. It's where you get together and you have conversations. And no, nobody said that this was going to be a general strike. Nobody said that this was going to activate a general strike. Nobody said we were even anywhere near close to ready for a general strike. What the summit was meant to do was open that line of communication and start the conversation. And that's exactly what it did. It's exactly what it did.
Well,
but people have to be. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say they were, that's how they were couching it at first. They were saying like, oh, well, they're trying to do a general summit, general strike online. I'm like, no, you dumbass. No. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Seriously. But they were also like, they were throwing out like, well, why aren't you talking to like people who are in labor? And then, oh, sure enough, like in some of those, like what was it? Rome
was literally on the streets.
Talking to strikers, talking to people who were striking, you know, and like how more authentic can you get than that, you know? And I think that's what it is about that. It was just so authentic. Nobody was putting on airs. Nobody was trying to sell you anything like Sam Cedar's crappy cereal that he tries to sell. He sells cereal on his show. Yeah. No. I used to watch a show a while back and he goes, hey, who likes this cardboard for breakfast? Anyway, that's another kind of bitch. We'll talk about that later if you want. But I was just so impressed with it. And even all I was doing was just sharing with as many people as I could. And I enjoyed every bit of it. It was it just felt so good, especially in times like this where things are pretty fucking shitty, you know?
Yeah. No, and there were a lot of people who were saying, oh, well, first of all, there's nobody that is involved with labor who's involved with the summit, which wasn't true, it turned out. But second of all, even if that were the case, so what? Because here's the thing, if we're going to go into a general strike or even targeted strikes, strikers need a support system. And they need people who are not within the strike to be able to support them, back them. Mutual aid networks are going to have to come from, all kinds of people. So even having those conversations outside of labor is still a great thing. Again, it's not the end all be all. It's not going to, jumpstart the movement or the revolution or any of those things, but it's a good jumping off point. And what's so obvious is it's always the same fucking assholes who consistently shit on any attempt whatsoever to organize or activate outside of their bubbles. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not an approved, what did AOC call them? I have somebody made me a certificate. If you're not like a certified activist or whatever, then you don't count.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
How are you? Do you have a certificate?
I do. Somebody made me one because I was like, I need to be like a certified activist or organizer. And so somebody on Twitter
do you need a notary public? Do you have to get that?
I think you have to take 6 credit hours of, organizing, and
you have to take a course at your local community college in order to do it.
Yeah, and then you have to like do an unpaid internship with like an NGO or something.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. No, it's this elitist, the gatekeeping, the gatekeeping, holy shit. And I realize that I can be guilty of this too at points, because like I don't consider like some of these people to be of the left, and this is why I hate labels. And I'm really just gonna stop saying it. Stop saying the left and the right and progressives and all that, because I hate it anyways. I really fucking hate it. But it is like so many people subscribe to that it's hard to get away from. It's hard to not use those descriptive words for yourself or for others, because it's like it's easier to say I'm a leftist than to go through like your list of beliefs and personal morals and all that stuff. So it's bullshit, dude. It's all fucking bullshit. I'm so tired of labels, all that they're only ever co-opted, they're only ever used to divide. I mean, everybody's a Nazi. If I don't like you, you're a Nazi. Or if you're on the right, like Joe Biden's a commie. What the fuck? No, stop it.
I want to tell some of my friends on the right that they're saying, yeah, he's communist. They're like, dude, no. Not even. He's more I always say he's more towards your folks than he is towards the left, because he's the crime bill and what he did with like student loans and bankruptcy.
He's
and
a corporatist. He's
a corporatist.
Yes. Yeah, but words mean nothing. Like Nancy Pelosi is progressive and Joe Biden's a Marxist and I'm a Nazi. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has like their own, like you don't get to just make up your own definition for words to fit your narrative. Like that's just not how words work. But that's where we are.
They use labels because it's an easy way to peg you. You know what I mean? Like if particularly if they don't like what you're saying, they'll use a label to like encapsulate you in that label, so that they don't have to get to know you. They don't have to learn anything else about you. All they hear is Nazi, and they're like, oh, she's got to be a Nazi. Yeah, she's just talking this Nazi. You get a Nazi. You get a Nazi. You get a Nazi.
I tweeted that the other day. Did you see that? I totally tweeted that. Somebody, I forget who, some dumb fucking troll. The person had me blocked before because I called this person. I called her out for being. She acts like an op. And she does. And she blocked me as soon as I called her out for acting like an op. And I mean, like Nick and FHL, they're trying to like stay away from like labeling people CIA. Even if you're not like legit CIA, if you're doing the work of the CIA, then you're a fucking op, whether you're in it knowingly or not, whether you're just like an
you're
idiot.
Just an unpaid CIA op. Yeah. That's what it is. You're still doing the work. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, but this person had me blocked, but then she was, trying to say that Magnus was a Nazi and I platformed a Nazi. And I'm like, have you ever listened to Magnus? He's not a fucking Nazi. Anybody who's ever listened to Magnus speak or has ever, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not a Nazi. Like, that's ridiculous. And all they're doing is diminishing the actual meaning of that word. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like when they used to say that Bernie Sanders was sexist. Really? It's the same bullshit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it. Oh, it's really fucking frustrating.
they throw these terms out there, and it's just like they hope that it sticks.
Yes.
You know, like Magnus, like if he's a Nazi, he is like one of the nicest Nazis I've ever heard
He's
of.
an environmentalist. He's it's just he's anti-war. He's pro-free speech. He's a free speech fucking activist. Like, I love that when people call me a Nazi, and I'm like, do you know what I do? Like, Nazis don't love free speech. I don't know if you knew that. It's not a thing that they're into.
Right. I mean, I'm not like a big historical student, but from what I know about Nazis is they're not down for free speech, I don't think. And you know, and helping people of all races, you know, that's I'm you know, I could be wrong. Maybe I got to go back and read my history books, but I'm pretty sure that's not it. So
people just change the definitions of words.
Well, tonight, right before I got on here, I was on Twitter, and you know, like Fee and Pasta on Jimmy Dore's show right now, and they
of course.
Yeah, that's all right.
I picked the worst time to stream this show, you guys.
No, you're fine. Everybody's watching us. Nobody's watching that shit. Anyway, Kitty likes to scratch me up. But she made a post saying that she was going to be on Jimmy Dore. They were going to they're talking about Nicaragua, right? And then, of course, the comments in there, oh, you're going to be on there with your Nazi friend, Nazi this, Nazi that. I'm like, oh my God. And there was like some cartoonist, like political cartoonist was saying some shit. And of course, me being as petty I am, I replied to him, like, well, your cartoons suck. So, because you don't mess with my friends. I will defend my pals. You know this. I will go after people, like, you know, dude,
y'all have my back. Seriously, the whole crew that you guys always have my back.
The whole hee-haw gang. We got you. We got you, sis. We're all fam. That's what we do.
That's nice because I get a lot of fucking trolls, and I have no desire to deal with them all, nor do I have the patience or time to deal with them all. So yeah, they're dumb though. Honestly, I know I say this all the time, but I literally have the dumbest fucking trolls. Yesterday, a troll said to me, "Pop another Xanax, you closet or you secret Republican." And I'm like, this is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Anybody who knows me, if you've ever heard me speak for 5 seconds, you know that Xanax is not a drug that I take. Have you heard me speak? I speak super fast. I'm not on Xanax. That's not a thing that I do. You know what I'm saying? It's so fucking, you're dumb. You're dumb. Like, you clearly don't know anything about me. You don't watch my shows. You have no idea what you're talking out of your ass. Oh, they're so fucking dumb.
I would be curious to see you on Xanax. I would like, I wonder what that would be like. Is it just the same thing, but
Probably.
like at like a third the speed? So
Maybe.
Like your shows would probably be like 3 times as long.
Maybe. Like, even when I'm high though, I'm pretty like go. Like, I'm pretty like, my brain, again, I have severe ADHD. Like, it's bad. Even medicated, I'm a hot fucking mess. So yeah. You know, and when I don't take my medication, I always think nobody's gonna know. Yeah, everybody always knows. Everybody's always like, wow, you were really hyper tonight. Yeah, I'm out of my meds. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So you're down with the reefers, right? The doobies.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Like those?
Yeah.
So are you a sativa gal, or are you more of like a indica gal?
Both.
Or do you kind of do a little both?
Yeah, a little of both. Depends on my mood, you know.
I quit smoking tobacco about 2 months ago.
Nice,
and
dude.
So yeah,
Woo!
thank you. I'm trying.
Yay.
Well, I was broke, so I couldn't afford tobacco. So
I
it was
quit.
Like
it'll be 15 years, May 11th.
Very good. Very good. I had been quit for about 2 years, a few years back. And then I started this really stressful job, and well, you know, you kind of see where that went. But I stopped smoking, like I said, because financially I really couldn't do it. In New York, tobacco, even the cheap tobacco, is pretty fucking expensive. So I said, fuck it. And it's been good. I mean, you know, there's been a few times, but you know, it wasn't it for all intents and purposes, it's been working. But I stopped smoking the green too. So now I do the edibles, and I'm new to the edible game. All right.
Yeah.
I've
So never been into edibles.
It's different. It's weird. It's like for those who are not in the know. So like if you smoke it, you kind of get this instant head rush, and then it kind of falls down, and then you're like a nice little mellow high or whatever it is. But with edibles, you eat it, and then like an hour later, you just start feeling it. And was it a couple of weeks ago when Reef Breland was on the show? I had taken like 3 edibles not too long before the show, because his name's Reefer.
I know.
Of course he's a stoner, right? It's like, you name somebody Ganja or something like that. Of course they're smoking. But anyway, so I said, all right, we're gonna be fucked up for this show. And I was like, for the first, we went on like 2.5 hours. So the first 2 hours, everything was cool. We were laughing and joking, and I can't tell you what happened in the last 30 minutes. Baby Jack! Baby Jack! The last 30 minutes, I think I ended the stream. Did you hear about when Snoop was doing like a stream and he forgot to turn it off, and the shit was
but that sounds amazing.
He was like walking around the house, and people were like, did he forget to turn off the stream?
Oh, wait, I think I did hear about that. Yeah. I saw people like some rumbles about it on Twitter or whatever. That sounds like something I would do.
That's just, I mean, I thought, I don't know, I'm pretty, even when I'm pretty fucked up, I can, like, tech wise, I pretty much know, like, okay, I need to turn this off, I need to turn this off, I need to turn this off. And then I can, pass out and sleep for 3 days or however long it was. It was great. But it was a good time. But now I'm like, okay, I'm going to be on Misty's show. I got to be chill. I haven't had any of the goodness today, but I am drinking, the holy water.
This is like the least professional show on YouTube. Seriously. There's no rhyme or reason.
That's why I love it.
There's no.
I love all honestly, your shows.
I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like this, this is my I don't give a fuck show. You watch it. You don't. It's not for you. It's for me. This is my therapy session for the week. If you want to hang out and listen to me bitch and complain with some friends, good on you. But if you don't, I'm still gonna do the show because it's therapy.
All right. So, how long have you hated your family? Be specific, please. Oh, I'm sorry.
Tell me about your mother.
Over. We'll see you next week. Okay, bye-bye. I said bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
I think a lot of people do need therapy. I mean, like, in some form, I hope they do get it.
Like when I say that to people, it's not me being condescending. I genuinely wish that you could get the help that you clearly need. Like the people sending death threats to activists. You need help. Please. Jack just turned the printer on. Dude, stop. Okay, there's a ladder leaning. If you guys hear a huge crash, it's because there's a ladder leaning up right here earlier because I was fixing a light, forgot to put the ladder away, and she now thinks that she's about to jump on it. Things are going to get bad. Jack.
Oh, baby Jack.
She's ridiculous.
I love baby Jack.
She's ridiculous.
I got to say, my therapy, besides extra bulla, is cat videos. I
live in a cat video.
Yeah, you are a cat video. I was about to say, you with the money bags back there. That always kills
Mindy
me.
Money Bags.
Look at that.
Mindy Money Bags.
You're taking my grifter advice.
I should have worn my grifter shirt. Should have.
Well,
y'all.
Next time.
The grifter thing fucking, it's so funny to me. It is. There are legitimate grifters out there. There really and legitimately are. Hassan Piker is a grifter. That's, maybe that's not fair because a grifter is somebody who says things that they don't actually agree with in order for like personal gain. And he may like actually believe some of the shit that he says. I think that he's playing a role. I think a lot of them are, and some of it's unintentional, but I'm not like, if I'm a grifter, I'm literally the worst grifter ever. I have no hustle. I don't hustle. Like I don't like, unless I'm doing like a specific fundraiser for a certain thing, I don't hustle for anything ever. I had to like do a whole thread because people keep calling me a grifter and I'm like, y'all, again, words have no meaning. Like none of my channels are monetized and I don't ever, like I have a Patreon and the only reason I have one is because Todd asked me to start a Patreon. So I did. And I think he's, no. I have 2 Patreons now. I have 2. patrons, whatever you call them. I have 2 now, you guys, 2. I never like, I guess I'm kind of promoting it now, which I don't mean to, but like, it's just ridiculous. It really is.
No,
It's
yeah.
just,
Well, you're not out there like wearing eat the rich dresses and shit like that. You're not like, like people like Hassan. To me, it seems like it, with the way propaganda works. His uncle is a propagandist, so without his uncle, he probably would have never gotten that gig in the first place.
no.
And two, to be a proper propagandist, you need to sprinkle in some truth. You got to put a little truth in there, because if it's all bullshit, that people can smell that a mile away. But if you got some truth in there, then they're like, oh, see, this is what he said is correct, so everything else must be correct too. And that's how you get the rubes in. That's how you get the sheep in. But you're just spitting truth. You ain't trying to sell nothing. You're just
No.
you're helping people. And if that's grifting, then you're a pretty good grifter.
I guess. I don't think that's grifting, though.
I don't think it is either. I mean,
I don't think that's actually what
according to
grifting
them,
is.
it is.
Right.
According to the grifters.
It's the same thing with the Nazi thing. I disagree with you, so you're a grifter. And that's
right.
Not how that works, you guys. Like, you don't just get to make up your own definitions for words to push your agenda. At least you shouldn't be able to do that. Words should have meaning. Language should be important. And again, I'm guilty of throwing around like terms and things that I shouldn't. And because I get it, especially on Twitter, it becomes more about just like laughing at people and mocking them openly because they're so fucking stupid. God.
Yeah,
like
really are.
It really is. I'm justifying it, but it really, like, my trolls, I just do not give a fuck. I'm not holding back. If I choose to interact with you, it's because I'm bored, and kicking you around for a while is fun for me because you're a, bona fide piece of shit. The people who do that are just like, to me, it seems really obvious. If you are spending all of your time, literally stalking my Twitter timeline to find things to like manufacture outrage over, and that's how you're spending your time rather than addressing people who have actual power, you might be a loser.
Or doing something productive.
Right.
You could be doing something productive, even in the smallest things. You could be promoting somebody who's actually doing something.
Right.
You don't have to sit there and camp out on somebody's timeline and just chew at them like that. People like that are either just ignorant or they're complicit. They're one or the other. There's no in between. It's like there's some dumb people that get roped into that and are easily convinced because people play on their emotions, or there's people that are like, yeah, we need to like bring Misty down a few notches because she's saying too much truth, and we can't be having that, and our masters can't be having that either.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and you don't have to like everybody. Like, I don't like everybody on Twitter. Like, I don't like Hassan. I'm not going to follow him around Twitter and, try to tear him down every 5 seconds. I'm not, that's what he chooses to do. Like, how many times has I don't play Hassan videos on my shows and like make fun of the stuff that he says, because I have better things to talk about. Like, I don't do those kinds of shows. If you are constantly punching down, there's a problem. There's a problem with that. And these are people who are constantly punching down. It's what they do. They never go after people who have actual power. They never hold any of these politicians, and they try to pretend like they do. They'll try to pretend like I do hold the politicians I like accountable to. No, you don't. No, you don't. You completely like all the time. You are completely making excuses for them and justifications and trying to.
My favorite is
obvious.
If you don't like it, why don't you run for office? I'm like, no, we got people there already that are getting paid $174,000 a year and have gold-plated health care.
And I don't believe in electoral politics.
I don't either. I'm like, at this point, it's not going to happen. But the people that are already there now, I look at it like this: direct action, mutual aid, all that good stuff. That's like priority. But at the same time, we can't let them off the hook in Washington either. The ones that are already there,
yes,
they need to be exposed. And despite your lack of confidence in them being able to do something, that doesn't matter. They should always be pressured. They should always be pressured. Like when they went after Joe Manchin in his Maserati or something, they were like surrounded his car, and they went after Amy Klobuchar. I love seeing that kind of shit. Maybe it doesn't do much right now, but if you see more and more of that stuff, like I said, Franco out at DC when Cori Bush and AOC were doing photo ops.
They're fucking sleepover.
And he was asking, and Ryan Grimm and his bad haircut was out
Ryan
there,
Grimm.
too.
Yeah,
Mr. Supercuts. That guy looks like
another douche canoe who loves to punch down. That dude loves to punch down. It's like his favorite thing in the whole wide world.
He's got to keep his access, you know. That's these access journalists that you see, like you know, Ken Shitstain, I'm sorry, Klippenstein, you know, people like that. You're just like, they want to keep their access. They don't care that these folks are doing something for us or not. They got theirs. They're like, you know, they probably got decent health care. They're making decent money. You know, they got to protect their interests, and their interest is covering these people. And if they start like telling the truth about these people, then the Cori Bushes and the AOCs are not going to talk to them anymore. So
you know.
No,
and it's, you know, that's it. It's the careerism that bothers me, because here's the thing: Ryan Grimm has done some great work, and he could do really great work. He could be a legitimately amazing journalist if he so chose to be. He's boring as shit, so I don't know if television's his thing necessarily. But he does some great investigative work, and he could be great. But it's a choice that he's made to be an establishment tool. And that's, you know, it pisses me off. But you're right. I think that these people desperately need to be, Jack keeps attacking my leg, I'm sorry, but these people desperately need to be exposed. And it's not like, to me, it's not about pressuring them, because I don't think you can pressure them to do anything that their overlords won't allow them to do. But it really is about exposing them, because there are too many people who still buy into this bullshit, and who still think that like the squad is really fighting for you. And you know, like I made a meme a few weeks ago when the Build Back Better and all that shit started falling apart, and progressives who were like, we're gonna hold the line, definitely didn't hold the line on a bullshit bill anyway. But I made a meme where it's, you know, it's the guy, is this whatever? And I put I think it was Cheriton, Grimm, and whatever, and doing fuck all. Is this fighting? Because like they didn't do shit, and they're like out there bragging like, oh my gosh, look, they're really holding the line. This is so this is so great to see. They're not. What the fuck are you talking about? They didn't do anything. They haven't done jack shit. They haven't held the line one time. Not on anything, on nothing. Like they couldn't even hold the line on not giving cops more money. You know what I mean? Like,
and then they turn around and praise Biden. They say he's doing a great job. He's the most progressive. He's FDR and all this shit. Like,
he gets an A. Smoking? He's exceeding expectations. AOC said that we're now like leading on climate again. And then Joe Biden is going to like auction off the Gulf Coast, and like what the fuck? They're gaslighting the shit out of you. And then these turds, Jordan Cheriton, Ryan Grimm, all these people are out there like gaslighting you about the progressives and what they're actually doing for you. They're not doing shit for you, period. And in fact, they're actively and openly working against you on a regular basis. Yeah, sure, they're great at rhetoric, and their tweets are they're just so snarky. And you know, Bernie Sanders is always tweeting about how you know the top 1% needs to pay their fair share in taxes. Meanwhile, he voted for the fucking CARES Act. You're a hypocrite. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, you are a hypocrite. And people, you need to be nice to them. Fuck that. Fuck that. I'm not being nice to these people. Why would you be nice to these people? They're not doing anything that they said that they were going to do.
I don't know. Maybe I'm old school, but I like to see results. You know what I mean? And you know, the yak. I know, right? What the hell am I thinking?
You're a purist.
But I know, I must be a right-wing Nazi or something. Anyway, we're throwing out labels, sure. Which that reminds me of a story I'll tell you later. But I was going to a job interview in Coney Island, and I had really, really short hair, and I had like this mustache. I looked like an old police sergeant, and it was like really early in the morning. Coney Island is just like it's just kind of like a little, not a touristy area, but there's a lot of locals there that like to party and stuff. And this kid had stayed up all night and he was still hammered at like 7 in the morning. He comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, you look like a cop." I was like, I don't like cops. I do like bacon, but I am not a cop. But you get that kind of shit, and you talk about like Jordan and you talk about like, Ryan Grimm and these people. Jordan's a perfect example. Remember when Nina Turner was running for Congress, and he was just like defending her left and right.
Yeah, that's when he decided he hated me.
Oh,
yeah.
I know you feel bad about that.
Not at all. Not at all.
Anyway,
we used to follow each other. He used to like DM me status quo stuff, and have me like ask me to retweet it, and I would retweet his stuff because they've done some great stuff. Like, just because I don't like Jordan Chariton doesn't mean that I'm going to discount all of his work, because that's ridiculous. They've done some great stuff. So I would still share it, and we followed each other, and we had disagreements, and that was fine. But then when I wouldn't shut up about how fake Nina Turner is, that's when he decided he hated me.
Right. Because he was riding the coattails with her, right? He wanted that access. He wanted to keep that access to her, and that's the thing about him. Like his Flint reporting, his Flint, Michigan reporting is great. It's fantastic, but it
would
seems
still like to see that documentary though. Sometime.
I mean,
cool.
If he just stuck to, investigative reporting. Just like Ryan Grimm, if they just stuck to investigative reporting, I know Ryan has done some great work with Tara Reid, right? And so just do that and just shut your mouth. Nobody needs to hear your opinions, because Jordan complained, well, I've got all this good stuff here and nobody wants to watch my channel. I think, yeah, because your opinions suck, dude.
Well, and that's because he's a fucking asshole to people who don't agree with him. He's condescending and he's rude, and he, like, if you disagree with him or if you call him out on something, then he will trash you. The dude went off on my timeline one time talking about how I'm a contrarian and I'm a nihilist, and I'm an accelerationist and blah 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 blah, because I'm mean to the squad. And like, seriously, like a thread, like paragraphs long, like just trashing me because I won't kiss Nina Turner's ass and the squad's ass. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, do you not? And then you're right. And then to complain because people don't want to watch your stuff, it's because you're alienating people. That's why.
Exactly.
And you don't get to complain. It's the same thing when he called for Convo Couch to be censored, and then when he got censored, he was like, oh my god, this is the most terrible thing that's ever happened. Well, you're a fucking hypocrite. You know what I'm saying? We told you, when you cheer for censorship, it's gonna come for you. It's exactly. And I still stand up against Jordan Chariton being censored. He shouldn't be censored either. But maybe quit being a hypocrite. Be consistent. It's just annoying.
He's fucking his karma big time. He really is. And well, he's from Long Island too, so
does that matter?
I'm here in New York, and I know some people from Long Island. I'm like, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's pretty spot on.
Well, he's just part of that, like the professional left. You know what I mean? Like, they're more worried about clicks and subscriptions and Patreons and all of that stuff. And they lose their way. And I don't think for some of them it's intentional. I don't think that like they. Here's the thing, because as great as independent journalism is and how viewer funded journalism, that's good because it gets it out of the corporate realm. It still it still causes people to self-censor, because once you are then dependent on that for your income, you start to subconsciously self-censor yourself because you want to appeal to the broadest base of people. So you won't say things that are controversial. You won't cover things that are controversial. And even if it's not intentional, even if it's just like a subconscious shift in the way that you cover things or the way that you talk, it's still a shift. And I think that we're seeing that a lot. Like, Jordan's a great example. Kyle Kalinski's a great example. You can see the shift in their thought process where they, it's more about maintaining their lifestyle than it is about doing, adversarial journalism.
Well, and look at the results too. Their numbers are tanking. TYT, Kyle, all the little Mike Figueiredo and David Dole and all those
are their numbers tanking? Are they?
Yeah, they're
Because I don't
because people are starting to get wise to their bullshit. They're like,
yeah.
because if you're gonna defend politicians and you call yourself an independent journalist, no, you're not. You're a shill. You're like you're a cheerleader because you want to ride that fence. You know, like you said, uh, you don't want to piss off anybody, but at the same time, you end up pissing off everybody because the people that watched you originally are seeing this change in you that, oh, you know, I thought we were holding people to account. I thought we were, you know, gonna like try and keep our elected officials honest, or at least try to get, you know, put pressure on them, but you're not doing that. And then the people that like the politicians that watch are like, oh, well, you're just too milk toast. Why aren't you doing more? So it's like the worst of both worlds. I in a way, I kind of feel sorry for them because like initially they started off in the right place and now they just they've kind of lost their way.
I think most of them started with the right intentions. I don't know if they started in the right place. This is just personal preference. Like I've always felt that Kyle was like a milquetoast centrist. He's never been like a super revolutionary. He's never been like a think outside the box kind of guy. He's very like down the middle. Like he's great if you want to know about policy and stuff like that, but he, as far as like being like, you know, a big thinker, he's not that. But he was like, in like 2015 2016 I still like would watch him on occasion just to, you know, especially if he would talk about something that I cared about or whatever. But he very quickly started falling off after the 2016 election, and I stopped watching him, Mike Figueredo, all of those guys. I stopped watching all those people in like 2016 early 2017 because it was like you could tell it was. And you're right, all of these people used to say, yeah, we're going to get these progressives elected and then we're going to hold them accountable, and they're not doing that. They're not. And it's really frustrating because the squad did the same thing. You know, when I think a lot of people forget, when the squad was initially running, the whole fucking point was they were going to get elected and go hold the Democratic Party accountable. That was the whole fucking point. They were coming out of the Bernie movement that had just gotten royally screwed over, and they were going to get elected and go hold Nancy Pelosi accountable. That was the fucking point. And they're not doing that now. Instead of doing that, they're, you know, completely capitulating at every turn. All they do is talk about how terrible Republicans are, and they're calling Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear. That's not what they were there for. And, you know, but I'm the asshole for pointing that out. They ran on that shit. I'm just holding them to what they ran on, and I'm the asshole. It's just so dumb.
Oh. You're the asshole because you're pointing it out, and they don't want you to point it out and remind people of how wrong that they are, you know. And that's the thing. It's just like, stop that, you know. They're like they'll try and smear you and stuff because you are telling the truth about them. You've exposed them for being, they are grifters, right? They are making money. I don't know how much money they're making, but they're making a decent amount, enough,
a shit ton,
over a shit ton of money, just getting on people's emotions, playing on that, using that to their advantage, you know. And like, and then when you come along and bring some truth, you know, then now you're messing with their grift, you're messing with their money. You know, it's like I told Franco last week. I said, the truth doesn't pay. Truth doesn't. No. You can't make money off the truth. So you have to grift. You're either talking about other personalities, like some of these shows. Now, I got nothing against these shows, personally. That some of these shows that are like kind of like TMZ, all they do is just like talk about other shows.
What's the one? Why am I blanking? What's the one? It's bad. Vanguard. Not, and that's, Vanguard. I don't mean that they're bad people. I don't know them, but like their show is not my thing at all.
Right. And me either. I mean, that's their thing though. It's like,
and that's fine. If that's what I'm also not saying that if you like to watch that stuff, you're a bad person. Like that. No, I'm just saying for me, that's not my thing. I've never met them. They could be great guys. I've watched like, you know, a couple, like not even full shows because it is not my thing. I just can't. It's like a lot of gossipy, you know, we're going to talk about Twitter beef. I have to live Twitter beef.
Yeah, Twitter beef.
I don't want to. I don't want to hear about
Twitter
it.
Beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Twitter beef, and oh, guess what? So and so said about so and so on their show. You know, I know what TMZ is. I don't even watch TMZ. I mean, okay, maybe a couple of times. If
I
depends on.
used to watch it back when so in like 2008 2009 they were, I think TMZ was like really big, and I had not big, but you know what I mean. I think it was new, like it was kind of newer, and I had just had my
Right.
first kid, and so I was it's usually on a like whatever the original time is, but then it's also on at like 4:30 in the morning. So when I would be up in the middle of the night feeding my kid, I would watch TMZ. So I used to watch TMZ a lot, actually.
Yeah,
For like a year.
I would watch. I would watch TMZ mostly for like what older celebrities were getting into, right? Because I mean, to be honest, I used to be huge into pop culture back in the 80s and early 90s, but then after that, I just kind of like, you know, I like what I like, and then I just kind of stuck with the old stuff. So I would see shit about like celebrities like what's his name? Mel Gibson, you know, that whole thing where it was just like, you know, he was the anti-Semitic stuff, and you're like, wow, okay, that's interesting to me for like 5 minutes. And but now you have like, but these kids have taken these kids. I'm an old fart. What am I gonna say?
I do that to Glory
These
Jones
guys
all the time.
She's so tiny.
She's not.
I just want
She's
to
not
eat her up.
tiny. She's as tall as me. Like she's not like tiny, but she's 21. Ugh. She's 21. Y'all, because currently my youngest child is sort of emulating Glory Jones. She's like really into anime, and she's just started playing basketball. Glory Jones plays basketball, and I told Glory that I think my kid's turning into her, and I realized that like if my kid turns into like a Glory Jones and at 21 is as aware and as active as Glory Jones is, then I fucking won parenting. I won it. I won parenting. Parenting award goes to me.
Well, I mean, that's your child, so that child is gonna be aware no matter what. You know what I mean? So
yeah, she has no choice.
She's in good hands, though. I feel I'm one of these people. It's like I had a little bit of a problem with some millennials, but now that
Speaking
Gen
of
Z has come
millennials,
along,
Bess, hi Bess. Bess just popped in. Millennials Splaining. Everybody check out her show.
Oh, hey.
I love Bess.
That's one of my peeps.
Yeah, I love Bess.
What's up, Bess? I love the young people. I love the energy that especially like the activist young people that are out there, and they're walking the walk, and it's
dude, at 21 I could barely like get up for work on time. You know what I'm saying? Like I was a party girl. I still like did like I was never, because I don't believe in electoral politics, and I never have. I did vote in 2008 for Barack Obama, which I hate myself for now. And then I voted Green Party 2012, 2016. Those are the only 3 times I've ever voted because I never believed in electoral politics. I blame my Barack Obama vote on the fact that I had just had a baby and I was feeling emotional. And he sold me on the hope and change. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. But I had never,
nice.
I never cared about electoral politics, but I was very heavily into mutual aid in like my 20s and stuff like that. But yeah, there was no way I was not Glory Jones at 21.
It's like I was telling Franco last week. I said I've come a long way. I had always liked the Democrats because of Jimmy Carter, right? My dad was a Navy veteran, and he got discharged for medical reasons. And the way that works is when you get discharged for medical reasons, you're supposed to get medical benefits that will take care of you, right? Obviously. And it took forever for Dad to get those. And it wasn't until Jimmy Carter came along, and Jimmy Carter basically, he was a veteran himself, and he ended up he's probably the last one that I know of, as far as presidents are concerned, that has even tried to do anything for veterans. So from then on, I was like, okay, well, the Democrats, Jimmy Carter's a Democrat, so I'm a Democrat. I didn't know dick about politics. So then you get to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton basically doing the same thing that Obama did, that just charm people like a snake charmer. And I was a Bill Clinton stan.
Ooh.
I just feel dirty saying that. And but over the years, it was like I never voted for him. I never voted for anybody until Bernie came along. And the only reason I voted for Bernie is because I had heard of Bernie. Bernie had been on Countdown with Keith Olbermann back in the Gulf War days. So I would watch that show because that's when Keith Olbermann was actually doing
Decent.
work. Yeah, you know, calling out
Yeah.
all you know, like hardball and all the
Yeah.
fake WMDs and all this shit. And he would have Bernie Sanders on his show all the time, and they were always talking about these medical fairs that they had one in. I'm from the Gulf Coast, so they had one in New Orleans. And I think they may have had it at the Superdome. I'm not sure, but basically, people would come in and they would get like free checkups and stuff like that. People who couldn't afford it. And I said, well, this guy, I like Bernie. He said, you know, and I checked out his record. And then it came 2016. I was like, holy shit, he's running for president. Fuck yeah! And he is the only person that I have ever voted for president for. And then,
did you vote for him in 2022?
No.
No.
I am in New York, and the thing got canceled, and they were doing mail-in ballots. Well, I voted for Jill Stein in the general, so I couldn't bear to vote for Hillary, especially after that whole Pied Piper.
Yeah, I voted for Jill Stein
stuff
too
had come
in
out.
2016.
Yeah. And then after that, I said, "Fuck it, I am done with." That was my first and last foray into electoral politics, and I said, "Fuck it, it's not worth it." Yeah, fuck Keith Olbermann. He's just turned into a fucking psycho. I tell you, I got booted off of one of my accounts, because you know I always got tricks up my sleeve. Yeah. One of my accounts on Twitter got, you know, nixed because I called him a balcony whore. He was talking about somebody. He called somebody else a whore.
Yeah,
he called Daniel Ortega's whore, because they were talking about Nicaragua, and I said,
"But who was it? Was it Ben Norton that he called a whore?
It was Wyatt somebody."
Oh, okay, yeah. I was trying. Okay, yeah. And he was like, "How does it feel to be a whore to the evil dictator?"
Right.
or some shit like that.
And everybody on that thread was calling him a whore, but I was the only one that got the perma ban. So, but you know, like I said, I got my tricks, and but I know how disappointment feels like over decades, like people that you liked in the past that you had a lot of respect for, and now you're just like, what the fuck happened to you?
Yeah.
You know, like, how did you go from this to this? I mean, it has to be either money, access, or a combination of both. I mean, like Keith Olbermann, all he does now is he gets in his 3-piece suit and he yells and screams on his balcony. And I'm like, well, what's the point of all this? Is he trying to get back into the good graces? Like, MSNBC's not going to rehire him. He's already been there. They fired him. He's not coming back to that. I don't understand what he's trying to stay relevant. I don't understand.
No, I think it's to stay relevant. And I think I think Trump legitimately broke a lot of people's brains.
He did.
You know, he really did. And it's not Trump. It wasn't Trump, like actual Trump. It was the Trump that everybody built up in their brains that was like this evil, like authoritarian dictator who was going to take over the world, which was ridiculous. Donald Trump is nowhere near intelligent enough to pull something like that off. He is a buffoon. But everybody like tried to pretend like he was this existential threat and like this, we've never seen this kind of evil before. And yes, we have. Barack Obama is just a continuation of the same bullshit. It doesn't matter who's president. It really does not matter. You know, that's what's really frustrating. Could it be more? I don't know if you haven't been able to watch the transition from Bill Clinton to George W. Bush to Barack Obama to Donald Trump to Joe Biden, and you don't understand there's continuity. The agenda has not changed. The rhetoric changes. The people that they pander to changes, but it's the exact same agenda. It's the same foreign policy. It's the same everything. Trade policies, all of that stuff. They each play their role. They play off of each other to get terrible shit passed. But there is no difference whatsoever on who's president. It does not matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who's president, because the people in Congress and in the Senate are still gonna vote for these huge military budgets. They're still gonna, CARES Act, anything that's gonna keep transferring the wealth up. They're going to be on board for that, especially these career politicians. And then you get like these new people in, like the squad who was supposed to, bring the ruckus, and then they just ended up being absorbed into it. what does that say for somebody who's going to be running for office now? Right? Like Nina Turner said, I guess, was she on Brianna Joy Gray's show? She said, I will disappoint you. People
Yes.
should have listened. That's like that, that's the canary in the coal mine right there. It's like now they're just telling you, we're going to disappoint you, So now if I'm just like Joe Schmo somewhere, wherever, and I'm like, I want to make a difference, I want to run for office, I'm fucked, because no one's going to believe me. And if I use progressive, that word has just been thrown around like so much, it doesn't mean shit now, so like, you could be the most decent person in the world, you're just going to get sucked into the matrix, and people know this. That's why we say direct action, mutual aid. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah,
because electoral politics is dead.
Yes, it is.
Really.
And that's a conversation, because when we started doing Facts on the Ground, I struggled with whether or not I wanted to have candidates on, because I, as a person who doesn't believe in electoral politics, felt like that would be using my platform, however small it is, because I do have it. I love that people think I'm super powerful. I have a tiny platform, you guys. Like, calm down. But like, it would still be using my platform to kind of advance the idea of a system that I don't believe in. But I thought that as somebody who regularly advocates for speaking to people that I don't agree with, I felt like it would be kind of hypocritical for me to just like not have politicians on. But I figured if I have politicians on, then I should openly discuss with them the fact that I don't believe in electoral politics and why, and ask them, how do you think you're going to be any different? And every politician I've ever had on, I've always asked them, what makes you think you're going to be different? What makes you think that once you're elected, you're not going to go to Congress or whatever, and be completely absorbed into the system or whatever? First of all, how are you going to win a rigged election? Like, I talked to Shahid Buttar and I'm like, dude, you're up against Nancy Pelosi. They're never going to let you win. They're never going to let you win, dude. Our elections are so fucking rigged. And that's what, because there are people who are running for office who I like and who I think have good ideas. Christine Olivio is running for office. I love her. Shahid Buttar. I love Shahid Buttar. There are people who run for office who I like and who I like as people. I disagree with their strategy and as far as like running for office, but those are good people. But even then, like, how are you going to maintain, first of all, how are you going to get elected in a rigged election? Because if you are that person who's genuine, they will keep you from winning. And second of all, even if you do manage to somehow sneak a win out, they will either crush you and get you out as fast as humanly possible if you dare stand up against them, or you will be absorbed into the system, and be doing exactly what Nancy Pelosi wants you to do within 6 months. Like, that's how it works.
I had thought maybe Cori Bush. Now, granted, I didn't know much about her going in, but I thought I had hope for her because she seemed very.
She's an activist. She's an activist.
She's an activist.
A street activist.
And if you hear enough bullshitters over the years, you can tell who's bullshitting you and who's not. And I wasn't getting the bullshit vibe from her, right? And then she got in.
And now I get bullshit vibe.
Now oh my God, my spider senses are like,
that's what I'm saying. Bullshit. Like, I think Cori Bush went in with good intentions. I think that she genuinely wanted to fight the system. I think that she was genuinely fed up with what was happening in her community. And I think that she genuinely wanted to make a difference. But they're never going to allow that. And I'm sure that she's managed to rationalize it, and she thinks that, oh, well, at least if I'm here, I'm doing some good. I'm able to do some good. So if I have to capitulate in other places, then it's fine. Like, I'm sure she's able to rationalize that in her head. But to me, that's more damaging than anything. Like going in there and being fake and kissing Nancy Pelosi's ass and doing these photo op bullshit. Like, to me, she's been like 100% co-opted. Like, she's no longer on our side. None of them are. But that's the difference between like her and an AOC. I kind of fell for AOC. I donated to her campaign. I was cautiously optimistic about her, but now knowing her history, she was 100% never on our side. Right. Not ever. Like, she's manufactured. She is a completely manufactured candidate. For example, she interned for Ted Kennedy. You do not intern for a Kennedy just just because you're some
Yeah.
bartender. That doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that doesn't
Yeah.
happen. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that's the
They knew
difference between them.
they knew she had the charisma to like Obama, you know, if you've got charisma and you're able to sell ice water to Inuits up north, then you know then they're going to try and pull you into the fold and manipulate you and work you. I mean, yeah, maybe she did have you know, honest intentions in the beginning, but
I don't think
she
so.
just reminds me. I mean, Nancy Pelosi was the same way when she got in to office. She was the same thing. She was pulling for Medicare for all.
I
She
don't
was
think
fighting
she
for
had
it.
good intentions either, though. Like she comes from a powerful family. I think that they know their
Right.
role. Like these people are always. This is how the left gets held back because they always put these people into position like they're sheepdogs. I mean, they just keep herding you back into a system that's designed to kill you. They give you
Yeah.
just enough hope where you think that they're going to make a difference, that you're going to be able to make a difference if we just get a couple more progressives elected. It doesn't matter how many progressives you get elected. It doesn't matter because they're progressives. They're only progressive when it's convenient for them, when it's politically advantageous for them. They're going to do as they're told. They've proven that time and time again. I don't know how many more times you have to see it, how many more votes for the Iron Dome or Capitol Police funding or whatever, or CARES vote or the CARES Act vote. One of AOC's first votes was to expand NATO. Hello, big red flag, big fucking red
Mm-hmm.
flag. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, you know, but again, when we point that out, we're the assholes. Like it's almost as if these people have no idea about their actual voting records. It's all about their tweets, their rhetoric, their Twitch streams. That's all they pay attention to. So it's like these cute little sound bites and, oh, she's on our side. Look, she's fighting so hard. They're not fighting for you at all. Like not even a tiny bit. Not even a
Yeah.
perfect example of that is the force the vote thing, right? So force the vote, they shit all over it. They try to rationalize how they can't do it. It's not the right time, you guys. We're in the middle of a global pandemic in the richest country in the world in the year 2021, but it's not the right time to fight for healthcare. This thing that we all ran on, it's not the right time. And then AOC comes out and says, it's not the right time, and we need to save that energy for things that are more doable. And that's her word, not mine. Doable, like $15 an hour minimum wage. Then it came time to fight for $15 an hour minimum wage. Crickets.
Crickets.
Fucking crickets. But I'm
Yeah.
the asshole, right? I'm the asshole for pointing it out that they didn't fight for the thing that they seriously, they ran on this shit. This is not me being an asshole. This is me being like, hey, you ran on this shit. Maybe you could like put up a tiny fight, like just a little bit. No.
They said
No.
they're bring a ruckus. They're gonna bring a ruckus.
Right?
I don't see a ruckus.
There's no ruckus.
It's like somebody says, yeah, I'm going to put out this fire. So instead of getting the big giant hose off the truck, they take a tablespoon and they dip it in
like
a bucket.
flick it.
They run over and they're spilling the water and they're like throwing it on there. Like, see, I shake and bake and I helped. You're like, you ain't doing shit. You're doing the very bare minimum at the most, and then you're not even doing that.
They're not even doing the bare minimum.
So
that's what's so fucking annoying. It's not even the bare minimum, you guys. Again, richest country in the history of the world, middle of a global pandemic, year 2021. All the other countries, all the other civilized countries, all of them, they all have healthcare. We're the only ones. We're the only fucking ones that don't have healthcare. And they wouldn't even like put up a whimper to even just get a floor vote. That's it. That's bare minimum. And again, something they ran on, something that AOC like on multiple occasions was like, this is an outrage. I can't believe like blah, blah, blah. We can't even get a floor vote. Like she even said, we can't even get a floor vote. And then they actually have, a modicum of leverage. Like they can actually use to push something that they ran on their agenda forward. And they won't do it. They won't even like pretend to want to do it. It's so mind-numbingly stupid how people are still defending them. It really is. I do not understand at all how people are still defending them.
Well, and it's particularly frustrating for people like us who actually see this shit, and we see it real time that they're moving the goalposts. Like you said, Medicare for all is not doable, but we'll try for the 15. And then the 15 comes around, they don't try for that. And then you got all this drama with her, like she's trying to make herself the focal point to distract from the other shit that's going on, like saying instead of voting no, I voted present and shit like that. It's just you know, people like us who see this, who have seen this over the years, over and over and over again, we're just tired of it, and we call it out, but then we're the assholes because, you know, well, they just need more people. No,
No,
you're
they
just going to get more
don't.
assholes. You're just going to get more assholes that are just going to get sucked into it, because
Yo,
that's how Washington
if
works.
you're a progressive and you got elected to office and if you're not flipping tables, then fuck you. Fuck you. That's it. I have no patience whatsoever for this shit. People are suffering needlessly. So either fight or go the fuck home. You know what I mean? Like, I'm done. I really am done. I have like long since worn out of patience for politicians and their bullshit. I really have. Bernie Sanders ruined me on that 100%, because like you, I knew about Bernie Sanders not since the 90s, but I'd seen him. I tell this story all the time because I was at my grandparents' house. My grandpa had C-SPAN on, and it was the 2003 Alan Greenspan where he like went off on Alan Greenspan. And honestly, it wasn't even Bernie that caught my attention. It was Warren Gunnels, who was sitting behind him. So I'm sitting on the couch and I look over and Warren's like laughing behind her. And I'm like, what the fuck is he laughing about? So I started paying attention and I was like, whoa, holy shit. I've never heard a politician go off like this. Like, and you know, again, I never paid really a lot of attention to electoral politics. So, you know, whatever. I was like 20, I don't know, 20, it was 2003. So I was probably like 21, 2, whatever. So yeah, so I knew who he was, and I kind of like vaguely followed his career from that point on, from like 2003. So I knew who he was, and so when he ran, I was like kind of excited. I was like, okay, like I knew who he was. Like I wasn't, you know, blind to the fact that he's still part of the machine and he's an imperialist and he's all of those things. But I thought maybe this guy has just enough left in him where we can swing this back in the other direction before we head over the cliff. You know what I mean? Like maybe we can just swing it back a tiny bit in the other direction before we really fuck ourselves over. But that dude was never going to fight for you. The not me, us was bullshit. The fight for somebody you don't know was bullshit. People keep trying to tell me that he's a good guy. Like but he's such a good guy. He's really fighting for us. No, here's the thing. Good guys don't call Joe Biden a good friend of theirs. If you have war criminals for friends, you're not a good person. If you gaslight for war criminals, you're not a good person. If you take millions of dollars from hardworking American people who don't have it to send to you, and then you walk off the field despite the fact that you've been given ample evidence that you've been completely fucked over, you're not a good person. That's period. You just are not. You cannot, at least in my opinion, you do not get to do that and still be considered a good person. That's not how that works.
Yeah,
it's
and
not.
he kind of showed his hand back in 2016 when he wouldn't go after Hillary. You know, when he was saying, I don't want to hear about the damn emails. You know, like, well, the emails are pretty important because it's exposing a lot of shit. This Pied Piper strategy, how Bill had gotten Trump to convinced him to run, and that was the whole thing. Like, we're gonna get him to run, and then
she was
Hillary's
under
gonna
FBI investigation, and he's like, I don't care about your damn emails. You should fucking care about her damn emails. Like, you should care.
Yeah, that was a red flag then. But you know, you get blinded. You know, I like I said, I'm not impervious to this shit. You get blinded by this shit because you hoping so desperately to get somebody decent in there for a change, and you kind of want to overlook some shit because in the long run, you know, you think they're a good person, and then they end up fucking you in the ass.
And I genuinely thought, and I still think this, that 2016 was our last shot. Like, that was it. If we weren't able to get it pushed back a little bit in the other direction, that I think we're now past the point of no return. That's just I hate to be a negative Nancy, but I really just feel like we're well past the point. Like, the empire is failing. There is no stopping it. I don't see how we're ever going to be able to get out of this at this point, especially when you have people are still falling for just like the same diversionary, like they're keeping us divided. They're keeping us distracted. Everybody's still falling for that bullshit. And it's, you know, we're never going to get anything accomplished. Like, we're still fighting culture war bullshit and ignoring the fact that, you know, it's not about that. And that's not to say that culture war stuff isn't important or that those aren't conversations that we need to have, but we can't have those conversations until we deal with the system that's killing us all. We're all dying. Hello, we're dying. Can we deal with that first?
I mean, and I have to say, thank you to you and to Fee, who really opened my eyes. I know we talked about this before. At first, I didn't want to I didn't want to believe the things you were saying, because I was like, no, we can't. No, he's our, Obi-Wan, you're our only hope.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I think that's how a lot of people feel about like the Squad. They're just like, no, like these things can't be true, or I don't want to believe these things to be true because they're our only hope. But we go back to, what are the results? What have they done? AOC, this is her second term. What has she done?
Nothing.
Bernie's been in there forever, even though he's an independent. What I mean, he's the, what did they call him, the amendment king or whatever, but
he's not even an independent, you guys. he's not an independent. He's an independent in name. He not since the 90s. Chris Hedges, I wish I would have listened to Chris Hedges, because Chris Hedges has always known who Bernie Sanders was. He called him out well before 2015. He made a deal with the party in the 90s. I will go along with everything you say. I will vote with your party. I will caucus with you. I'll do all of those things. You're just not going to run anybody against me in Vermont. So they, hold off a third party development in Vermont. He gets to keep his position and his committee assignments, and everybody's happy except for the people. But he's like, listen, Bernie Sanders is a shrewd politician. He gets this whole, oh, he's a grumpy grandpa. No, he's not. He is a shrewd politician. He has built this mythology around himself that is really, it's impressive. Like, he's really been able to build this narrative around himself about who he is. And he's none of the thing. I mean, again, he's an imperialist. Like, this is not, I love that he like tries to pretend like his vote against the Iraq war is something that he should like, and yes, you should hold that up. But if you go back and look, he didn't even vote against it for the real right reasons. And not only that, he voted for regime change in Iraq twice under George W. Bush or under Bill Clinton. So it's his foreign policy votes seem to depend on which party's in office, and he just goes along with whatever his party says, and he's always been that way. And Chris Hedges knew that, and I love Chris Hedges. I don't always agree with him, because I'm sure somebody's going to come after me like, oh, Chris Hedges said this one time, why do you love him? It's exhausting, but because if you like somebody, or if you, another thing that I love is people try to give me shit because I went on Magnus's show one time, and Ryan Dawson was also a guest, which, if you guys don't know who Ryan Dawson is, he's kind of like this loudmouth know-it-all, like super hardcore right wing. Apparently he said some things in denial of the Holocaust and all of that stuff, but we were on there to talk about Palestine, which we all, Magnus's show was about unity. We all agreed on Palestine. So I went on there, talked to him, it was me, Fee, Ryan, and Magnus, and we were all it was just about Palestine. And now people will try to like come after me and say that it's I'm a Holocaust denier and I'm a Nazi because I had a conversation one time with Ryan Dawson. And just so you guys know, when you talk to somebody, their beliefs do not like transpose onto you. That's not how that works.
Yeah, but that's what people think, That's like I don't know, like what's his name, John Boehner, he's a weed guy now. Yeah, he wants to make money off of it, but I kind of like the fact that he's pushing, to get, if he can do whatever to get cannabis legalized, that's great. But that don't mean I love everything about him.
No,
we have to pick our battles. We have to find allies for things like if you're against everything else, I'm for, but you're for like Medicare for all or something like that. Let's work on that. We'll put the other stuff to the side.
Palestine is incredibly important to me. So I'm willing to have conversations with people who I disagree with on other things, if that means that we can further the cause of freeing Palestine. It's not about my ego. It's not about like me being comfortable, or like, I genuinely wonder if people expect you to run around with like a questionnaire that before you have a conversation with somebody, you need to fill this out. And if you're guilty of wrongthink on any of these issues, then we can't have a conversation, because that's really infantile. It's really fucking stupid. And I love that people like, it's a gotcha for them. And it's like, wait, you mean the girl who like consistently advocates for having those conversations with people you don't agree with had a conversation with somebody she doesn't agree with? oh, the horror. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you talking
Right.
about? That's what my whole thing is. Like, we should be having those conversations. But, it's just really dumb that these people seem to think that if you talk to somebody, then you believe the things that they believe.
Yeah,
What?
everything about them. Like, you
Yeah.
believe one thing, and then all of a sudden you're their cheerleader. And
You're
it's like, and
endorsing everything they've ever said, all their actions. Like,
exactly.
no,
Well, that's
no,
that
no,
cult
no.
mentality,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing is just like, um, it's just like when you criticize, like going back to the squad, you criticize the squad, it's a legitimate criticism. You may not be saying that you hate everything about them, right? But if you're talking about one particular thing, then people will think, oh, well, you're attacking. It's like, no, I disagree with this. I want them to do better on this. Well, they just need more people. And it's just always goalposts moving, just all over
Mm-hmm.
the place. And you're like, get out of the fucking cult. Stop it. I was in a cult. I was, like I said, I was a Clinton super stand back in the 90s, and if I could get out of the fucking cult, anybody can. It took me a while, but I tell you, as the years progressed, and actually more since I've been on Twitter, and I've reading and listening to you and like Fee and the Combo Couch and other folks that have opened my eyes to like Palestine. I didn't know shit about Palestine till I started listening to you guys about it. I was getting all this information like, oh my God, I had no idea they were going through all of this, from the Israelis, and it's just, people just don't want to learn, because then it takes them out of their comfort zone, and then they kind of feel like they're out there in the wilderness, and now they don't know what to believe. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's the unknowing is scares the shit out of them.
Well, and I
But
think that
you gotta be
people
strong.
trying to come to terms with the fact, and I also think that admitting you're wrong is really difficult for a lot of people, and myself
Yeah,
included. I'm guilty of that too. I've been guilty of that too.
me too.
um
Me
uh
too.
but it's necessary. Like, if you're presented with new evidence, you should be willing to take that in and reevaluate, and that's okay. It's like, I tell people all the time on the Assange stuff, because I genuinely think that and Caitlin Johnstone pointed this out several weeks ago, that now online, it's not like it used to be a bunch of like big name blue checks who would trash Assange all the time, and now you don't see that anymore. It's mostly like smaller accounts with like a couple dozen followers or whatever. And there's a reason for that, and that is because a lot of those people who used to bash him now realize how desperately wrong they were, and they're not going to come out and publicly say it, so they just stop talking about it.
Right.
And it would be really cool, you guys, if any of you are listening out there, who had the wrong opinion on Julian Assange before, and you now realize that, it would be really cool if you could publicly come to terms with that. I'm not going to attack you. I'm not going to laugh in your face and ha ha ha. I will welcome you to the Free Assange movement. We need you. But I think I think admitting you're wrong is really difficult for a lot of people. And buying into that, like, kind of team mentality or whatever on these issues, it's hard. Like, it's ingrained. We're propagandized that way. Like, our entire system is built to keep you thinking that way. Like, I say this all the time. In this country, it's not just that you're propagandized to vote against your own interests. You're literally being propagandized to think against your own interests. And they're very good at doing it. They're very effective. But I think that we need to, for more people who are having those awakenings, to be more like open about it, because I think that it encourages other people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I genuinely believe in the Assange thing. If we could get like a couple big name blue checks who have larger platforms to publicly admit that they were wrong and go to bat for Julian Assange, that could like be tide turning for the movement. And it would really only take a couple people, because once it becomes socially acceptable to support Julian Assange, it's game over. That's it. Then that's why, I mean, we've been saying forever. Yeah, it does. It snowballs. It becomes, once it becomes like a popular position to take and an acceptable position to take, that's it. That's the game changer. And that's why we've been advocating for mass public pressure. That's the only thing that fixes this stuff, is mass public pressure. You can't appeal to their better angels. They don't have any. It's people coming together and being loud about it and making it politically untenable for them to do the terrible thing that they're doing. Daryl's back. Hi, dude.
That cat.
He's such a
Well,
dick.
you gotta. I know, right? That tail. It's like, I'm getting in this show.
He's a
Well, you got to
diva.
put sunlight on these people. You gotta, that's the thing. You get, you're consistent. A lot of other folks that I respect are consistent, constantly exposing these people. And every once in a while, you see a few people kind of, the light bulb goes on over their head like, oh shit, maybe they're not, a grifter. Maybe they're actually telling the truth on this. I grew up down south where, and the mentality was, you don't rock the boat, right? You
Yeah.
don't do, like, it's very, very conservative, very religious communities down there. And if you were somebody who stood out, you had your own opinions about things, then you were some sort of troublemaker or
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. And the same thing applies to politics, like on a broader scale, with these cults of people that are afraid to embrace the truth because their friends might attack them, and their friends mean more to them than the actual issues, which is kind of fucked up. It should be the other way around. I mean, yeah, your family, your friends might be your family, but if your friends are keeping you in a place where you're just hearing nothing but bullshit and believing it, I mean, what kind of friends are that? That's why I like you. Like I keep saying, I like you and our little circle of informed people, because we don't bullshit each other.
No.
We tell each other the truth, and we try to spread that truth out to as many people as possible. And slowly but surely, people are starting to come around because they're not seeing the results that they wanted.
Yeah.
You can, you tell somebody, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to go to the store and pick up a 6-pack for you. And 3 days later you haven't shown up. It's like, how come you didn't bring the 6-pack? Oh, I'll get it tomorrow. And after a point, you're like, you were full of shit. You were not going to bring me no 6-pack of beer, motherfucker. And yeah, they're not bringing us any 6-packs in
No.
Washington. So we gotta,
I do think you're right, though. I think more
chocolates.
people are starting to wake up. I mean, because like you said, you used to get mad at me and Fee when we would talk shit about Bernie Sanders. And I've had other people DM me or whatever and be like, hey, I blocked you several years ago because you talk shit about Bernie Sanders and it pissed me off. And now I realize, and I'm really sorry. And like, that's happened to me on multiple occasions. And listen, I'm not saying I'm right about everything or that I know everything. No, I'm just a mom in Ohio. Like, I'm not anybody special. You shouldn't take me seriously. I don't take myself seriously. But I do think that there's something to be said for consistency. And I try. That's like, to me, that's the thing. I try to be consistent, and I try to consistently apply my principles, even when it means that like I'm going to take heat for it, or it's not a popular opinion or whatever. And that's, I mean, you have to do that. I mean, it's sometimes, and it's hard. It's not always easy, because there are a lot of times that, and Fiorella especially gets it like all the time. But just for being consistent, she gets shit on. Like, you'll get shit on because people get into their feelings about things, and they can't. It's really hard. It's hard to be consistent. It really is, because especially if you let your emotions get involved, it can be difficult to like step back from an issue and, genuinely look at it, from kind of a detached position. And that's what you have to try to do. And I'm not perfect at that either. About the Julian Assange stuff, I get extremely defensive sometimes. I can't help it. When you dedicate your life to something, it's hard to not get defensive about it. But yeah,
Right.
it's definitely something you have to work on. And that's why I love people like Fee and like Nico and like, because Steve, and it's because they have always been consistent. It's not like they're evolving their positions to like, meet the wind wherever the wind is blowing. They hold the same principles across the board. And it's when if you're going to defend one person for doing something, you have to defend somebody you don't like for doing the same thing. You know what I mean? But that's hard. It is really hard. It is really hard.
Well, and I like I said, I come from a journalism background from 30 years ago, and I worked with, in a microcosm, the way it works on the local level. You work with people that have been in the business forever, and are real journalists, and you learn from them. And then you just have people who are just opportunists, who just want to, pay their dues, do their time here, and then they'll go to a higher market, and then the same thing, and then their idea, they're more worried about their career success than they are the actual work. And when you actually learn from those who are real journalists that are they're consistent, it's like you said, consistency is a huge key in almost everything. Like if you want to establish any sort of trust level with somebody, check to see how consistent they are. You know, like you said, everybody's fallible. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But if you're genuinely consistent on your message, like how you feel, like this is what I believe, this is what I believe. And I think that's what happened with a lot of these like the YouTube folks that were maybe had good intentions in the beginning and were doing good works, but then you saw that it wasn't being consistent anymore. And then you started to question them, like, well, you said this, you know, a few months back. Now you're saying this. What's going on? And so now that trust factor is, you know, you're not going to listen to that person anymore. But
no,
like with you guys, you're always consistent, and that's what's kept me coming back and listening to you guys, is because you always and you're fun folks too. Come on, let's be real here. I'm gonna sprinkle you a little awesome sauce there. You got the awesome sauce in there. But you're consistent, right? And I can see your hearts. I can see your hearts. I can see the passion that you have for getting this information out, you know, and some people just don't see that. And hopefully they'll come around and they will. It's the older you get, the less that you want to deal with bullshit. So your bullshit filter tends
I
to
already
work a
don't
hell of a
deal with
lot more.
bullshit. Yeah. Like
Right.
I mean,
Well,
I'm only 39, but like I'm like, which is I guess like middle age, maybe is 39 middle age. I'm almost 40. That's like middle age, I guess. But like I already have like no tolerance for bullshit. I really have no tolerance for bullshit. And I was honestly
that's
worried
great.
when I started doing this because I wasn't sure, and not saying that like, oh, I thought I was going to have this huge platform and I was going to get all kinds of trolls and all this stuff. But if you ever put yourself out into the public sphere, you're going to get people who don't like you, no matter how big or small your platform is. And I was like, do I really want to deal with that? And it honestly does not bother me in the slightest. I welcome genuine criticism. If you're coming in a constructive way, I'm open to that. But for the most part, it's bad faith actors who misrepresent my positions and who are just smear merchants. And they're not, I say it all the time, like they're not worth my spit, let alone my time. Like I'm not going to, like, I'm not going to bother with you. I mean, I for a while, I've gone through phases because there was a time when there's like a specific group of people that have been stalking me, literally stalking me for years. And they're so pathetic. It's sad to me. It really is sad to me that they spend all of this time like worrying about what some mom from Ohio was tweeting about. Like, y'all, find yourself something better to do. But for a long time, I ignored it. I just ignored it. I didn't pay any attention to them. I pretended they didn't exist. And then it finally got to the point where I was tired of seeing them talk shit. So I started engaging with them and like hitting back at them. And I did that for a while. And then I realized that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter how wrong they are. They've been proven to be wrong a million times over, and they just keep saying the same shit over and over again. So I just don't care. I just don't care. And so now I'm a big advocate. If you have trolls, mute them and move on. Just mute them and move on.
Yeah.
If you're bored one day and you feel like kicking one around for a little while, then do that and then mute them. Like use them for your own personal entertainment and then mute them. They're not worth it. It's not worth the time. They are like specifically meant to be time and energy vampires. So, I mean,
you do have to get your frustrations out every once in a while. And
yeah,
those folks are like very easy to do. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll like somebody will come after one of y'all and then I'll jump in and say, hey, you know, you suck or whatever. You know, I don't, I'm kind of straight to the point, you know, I'm like, you fucking suck. And I'll defend my peoples. Right. And then they'll come back and forth. They'll give me their little talking points that they heard from their masters and all this. And then I'll go, oh, really? That's interesting. Well, what about so-and-so and so-and-so? And then, blah, blah, blah. But there is a couple of times I want to say on a very rare occasion, I've actually was very calm with them and said, well, why do you believe this? And then they'll tell me why. And I'll say, well, this is not this, right? And you give them some information, and every once in a while you can turn one. You can turn one around, and that's why I like to I don't do it all the time, but I like to engage with them sometimes, because there's the stragglers that are on the fringe that they're just really in it because their pals are in it.
Yeah.
And but they don't quite know what's going on, but you give them some actual information, like, oh, I didn't know that. And then like I've had a couple people just end up following me after that, but that's been a while ago that happened. Now I just don't have any patience. I go, nah, we're done. Mute.
Yeah.
Well,
most people don't
that much
on Twitter. I don't block that much either. I block genuinely toxic people, like people who
those people definitely
literally stalk me. I mean, there's been some people who, if you go back and look at their timeline, there have been like multiple days in a row where like 90% of the things that they tweet are retweets of my tweets where they're like complaining. And that's pathological. You need help. Like, seriously, you need help if that's what you're doing with your life. Again, I am just a mom from Ohio, and if you are that focused on what I'm tweeting about, you need a hobby. Like, I'm genuinely worried about your mental well-being. I'm not saying that to be snarky. I'm really not. Like, that's not good. That's not a good sign. But yeah, it's, these people, again, a lot of it is intentional. A lot of it's meant to take up my time and energy to smear me so that other people will have a preconceived idea. It's like the person I said earlier who said that I need to pop another Xanax. That person obviously has never watched one of my shows ever. They're just repeating things that they've heard other people say. And it's so obvious. It's so there's so many of those people who just, and you're right. I think they've fallen into like a clique on Twitter, and it becomes like this hive mentality where they just regurgitate everything that their friends say because they want to belong. They want people to like them. And so they just repeat the stuff that their friends have been saying, and it's sad. I really do feel bad.
It's scary too. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, that's how like, I remember the Jim Jones cults when I was a kid. That was on TV all the time, and it was just like, I didn't realize it back then. I just thought, we always making Kool-Aid jokes, but we were kids. We didn't know any better. And then you're an adult and you learn what actually happened. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It seems like that's what's happening now. Only instead of going down to Guyana, they're doing it online. That cat, I swear to God.
Daryl, everybody thinks you're so cute. Daryl, everybody thinks you're so cute, dude.
He's beautiful.
He is. And he's my handsome boy.
That's Hollywood right there. He wants to be on.
He knows. I joke all the time. I'm like, he knows he's the star. He's been doing this ever since I started doing shows. The first time I was ever on with Jesse, my co-host for Facts on the Ground, he jumped up on the back of my chair. This is Daryl. He's an asshole, but I love him. I do love him.
Cats are nature's comedians. They really are, because they can do deadpan and they can do physical comedy. That's what makes them. I mean, dogs. I mean, I love dogs, but dogs are just silly all the time. They're just like, let me just lick your face. Cats are just.
This guy is honestly the best cat on planet Earth. He's very chill. He's very mellow. We've had him since I think my youngest was maybe like 3 or 4 ish, maybe 5. I don't know. I'd have to think about that for a little bit longer because I can't remember for sure. But she picks him up, or she used to. She doesn't so much anymore. She would pick him up and like sling him over her shoulder and carry him around and mess with him. And he just lays there. Like now, baby Jack will like pounce on his back and like chew on his ear and chase his tail, and he doesn't care. He just chills and hangs out, and he is like the most mellow little boy in the whole wide world. He's probably about to act crazy now just to prove me wrong.
When I moved to New York back in 2009, I was living with a buddy of mine, and he had 2 cats, and which was funny. And we had these hardwood floors, right? So it was so great because like in the middle, you'd be like laying in the bed in the middle of the night, and then you'd hear. And I was like, first time I heard that, I was like, what the fuck is that? I thought it was the neighbors upstairs. And then one day I was in the living room, and here they come.
With hardwood floors, the good part is when you hear the dum 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 when they slide across the floor. I love that.
I had my cats when I had two little girl cats back in the late 90s, and I had a place I had hardwood floors, and they would get on the Swiffer. I gotta have a Swiffer, and they would one of them would get on the Swiffer because they knew I would move them around, and they're just like, okay, this is cool. I wanted to get one of those Roombas just to see if they get up on it and just take a ride around the place,
I know.
I just get a Roomba just for that, but I never did get around to it. So, missed opportunities. You know how that goes.
They still have Roombas. I need a Roomba. I should get I bet Baby Jack would cruise around on it. She's nuts. Genuinely, she's nuts. All of my cats, it's amazing to me. Why do I always end up talking about cats? Christ. I had
that was my fault. It was my fault. We were actually talking about serious stuff, and then
I know I had Liv on the show though, and like 94% of the show was talking about cats, and I'm like, what is happening here? Oh, but seriously,
cats are awesome.
They are, especially my cats, and it's amazing because they all have very distinct personalities. Like they're all incredibly different. Like I have one who's like a really grumpy fat cat, and then I have Daryl who's like incredibly chill, and Baby Jack is nuts. And I have 7 inside right now, so they're all like really fun. I am a crazy cat lady, Lucky. You're totally right, dude. I am a crazy cat lady, which is funny because I, again, did not like cats at all. I was a dog person. We had gotten a dog because we heard my oldest is autistic. We got a dog because we heard dogs were great with kids with autism. My kid loves her personal space. We made the mistake of getting a puppy. Puppies do not know what personal space is. So that didn't work out very good. So we decided to go with cats instead because cats are all about personal space. And so now I like cats, but I only like my cats really. Like other cats are okay, but like I love my cats. They're very spoiled.
Right.
They're very
and
spoiled.
You're around them all the time too, so that they're like they're part of the family. You go to I have friends that have cats too, and I'll go over their place and I'm like, oh hey kitty, what's going on? And then I go home. That's why I never became a parent. I'm just like one of these guys. I like to show up and hey nephews and niece, how you doing? All right, gotta go. See ya. So attachment things.
I never wanted kids until I got pregnant. Funny how that works.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I used to always say all the time, like, I love other people's kids because I can hold them when they're cute and cuddly and happy. And then when they start crying, I can be like, here you go. And hand them back, So yeah.
I was very fortunate to find somebody. I met her when I was I just turned 40. And we were a little late in life. Neither one of us wanted to have kids. And I got nothing against kids. I'm like, I have plenty of friends who are married or not married, and they have kids, and I love their kids. They're just they're fantastic because they're just reflections of their parents that I love very much too. But I always just thought I wasn't built that way. I was not. When I was young, when I was like in my teens and maybe early 20s, I think I wanted to have kids then, and then just something, I don't know what happened. It was just like but my middle sister, they got a divorce when her kids were really young. And I kind of helped step in and be the kind of like the dude guy, to like kind of teach them the dude guy that teaches them dude stuff. I'd take them to the movies, and I'd go around and they'd ask me about girls and stuff, and I'd give them advice, and I felt good doing that as an uncle, but then, like I could go home and I wouldn't have to worry about the kids because the mom's there and everything's fine, So being that for them, I wouldn't trade that for anything. In fact, the Uncle Warren here, I said that was my radio name, but when I first got into radio, they said, well, what are you going to use for your radio name? And I said, and that was the first thing I thought of. Uncle Warren, I love being an uncle so much. I decided that was just going to be my name, and now those kids, they have like, 1,000 kids themselves. And One of my nephews, I'm like, dude, they have these things called condoms. All right. Check it out. I know you think it's like the 1800s where you got to have like 16, 18 kids just to work the farm, but
Well,
we
you
got
gotta have 16 to
tractors and
18
shit
kids
now.
because only 4 of them are going to survive childhood. So
Yeah, I know, right? Just keep putting them out. Just keep putting them out, baby.
Yeah.
But he's such a great father. He is a great father. He's like he's very wonderful to all my like I said, my niece and my 3 nephews, they're all great parents, and I've been very fortunate. Well, they've been fortunate, and I've been fortunate. And I that's one thing. Like, if some people say, "Well, why don't you regret not having kids?" And I go, "No, because I've had those experiences, and those will be with me for the rest of my life." So, and they're just amazing people.
Yeah. I always think
And
it's weird when people lament about like, oh, well, don't you wish you would have kids to people who don't have kids? Kids aren't for everybody. Like, I don't know why that's a controversial thing to
right,
say. And women get this a lot more than men do. But like I
mm,
have a lot of childless friends who are women, and people are like, oh, you're gonna change your mind. No, I'm not. I just don't want
right,
kids, and
yeah.
it's okay. Like, that's an okay thing. It's an okay thing to not want to have kids. It's fine, y'all. That's not the only reason we're here is to procreate, especially at this point. You know,
Yeah, we got enough people.
yeah, well, and it's
We're
not just
good.
that. Like, there are times where I feel genuinely guilty having brought my children into this world. Like, it's such a shitstorm that I feel genuinely guilty about bringing 2 people into this world to have to deal with this mess, because humanity has fucked it up. Like, we have fucked it up. We were given, and I'm an atheist. I'm not religious in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but I do like, we were given, like, I'm very Carl Sagan driven. We're all made from star stuff, all of that, good stuff. So we've been given like this amazing opportunity to have this experience called life on this rock called Earth. And we could not have fucked it up more. you
Right.
know like,
And we continue to fuck it up too.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
2021 and
We
we're
keep
still
making
like
it worse and
blowing
worse.
people up for profit.
Well, there's a garbage patch out in the Pacific the size of Texas,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not getting any smaller anytime soon.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
Um
we're drilling for oil and ruining water sources knowingly, like, we're knowingly doing that. Yeah, we fucked it up. And so there are times that I feel genuinely guilty about having brought my children into the world. And I think that's part of what drives me so hard is that I feel bad for them, and I feel guilty, and I feel like I have to try to fix whatever I can fix. You know what I mean? Like, it's an immense amount of guilt for having
well,
fucked it up.
I'll say this. I mean, I don't know your children obviously, but if your motherhood skills are anything like your activist skills, then those kids are going to be in really good shape.
I'm an
So
okay
I
mom.
got
I mean,
you. All right.
I'm all right. Like,
You're
world's
good.
okayest mom. Like, I have my days, there are days that I suck and I'm terrible and I yell. I'm not really a yeller. I will say that. I'm not a yeller. I'm not a yeller as a mother. It's very rare that I yell.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
not a
wish my
yeller.
parents had been like you.
Yeah,
They
I
yelled all
think
the
that's
time.
why I'm not a yeller, is because I had that same experience. And so, yeah,
We were some. You had to yell in our family. Everybody was yelling, like, and then you didn't even have to be mad at each other because everybody's one person's loud. You got to get louder if you
yeah,
want to be heard. And then that next person's got to get louder, and you're like, next thing you know, everybody's deaf because
yeah.
they're yelling too much. You're like, rock concerts and family yelling is why I'm pretty much almost deaf right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I blame
Music
both
has
of those
definitely
things.
damaged my hearing for sure.
What
For
what
sure.
kind of music do you like?
Well, my favorite band's Nine Inch Nails. It's been Nine Inch Nails since I was like, I don't know, 11
Right
maybe.
on. Okay.
But like I listen to a little bit of everything, honestly. I'm not a huge fan of like modern day country. I like old country. I'm not a
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
fan of modern day hip hop, but I like old hip hop. Like, there's some, like, again, there's some modern country that I like Chris Stapleton. That dude has got a
Right.
fucking voice. Holy shit. That dude has got a fucking voice. It's magic. It's magic. He's got like one of the best voices I've ever heard. So I appreciate that, but I don't even know if he's really country. He's like more bluesy to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I listen to a little bit of everything. Like I have an 11-year-old, so I have to listen to like Little Nas X and Ed Sheeran and all that stuff, which I mean, it's not my thing. They have their place, whatever. But she listens to cool stuff too. So it's just, when you're 11, you listen to whatever's popular and your friends are listening to, and then you also listen to yeah, she's got a little bit of my music taste all over the place. Like I genuinely like, I love classical. I love blues and jazz. Like I like a little bit of everything. My dad was a DJ
Oh,
growing up.
okay.
So yeah, so not like on radio. He did like weddings and birthday parties and graduations and all that stuff.
Right on.
But I was like raised in a music loving family. Like I have an older sister who is 6 years older than me, and that's why Nine Inch Nails has been my favorite band since I was 11. That's like pretty young to be listening to Nine Inch Nails. But I had a sister who was 6 years older than me. So I was listening when most kids my age were listening to like Milli Vanilli and New Kids on the Block. I was listening to Nirvana and Nine Inch Nails.
Right. I had a similar experience. My middle sister, she's 7 years older than me, and she took me. My first concert was the Oak Ridge Boys in 1979, and I was 10 years old, and the most thrilling part of the night to me was when we got to move up to the front of the stage, and then as we were moving up, somebody spilled their beer on my arm, and I'm 10 years old, and I'm going, beer! I felt like such an adult. But she was such a music influence on me. Like she went to a ton of concerts, and then when I got old enough, I went to a ton of concerts.
Yeah, I
so
did too.
I'm more of like in the rock vein, like the old school rock, like I listen to Zeppelin and Floyd, that kind of thing, but I
Yep.
also listen to like what is that? They did Green Grass and High Tides Forever. The Outlaws, I think that's who it was. And the bands like that, like Molly Hatchet, like Southern
Yeah.
rock, you got a lot of that in there too. And what we would do, and growing up in the 80s, as it became a teenager in the 80s, that was like a golden era for music, anyway, for me. And so I had this, you remember those rectangular tape recorders, you pop it in the tape, you could put the tape in. There was like those old school ones. So I would take the tape recorder and I would put it right in front of the radio, and I would
Yeah.
record mixtapes off of that, shitty quality, whatever. But
Yeah.
I had those tapes, and then I became a rock DJ later. And that was the best job ever, but it paid for shit.
I know.
And the guy who owned the radio station, nice guy, but just dumb as a bag of assholes. I mean, just stupid. And his wife was like, she had this hair that was like really pulled back. She was like the original Karen, right? Just like one time I was in the booth, and I was playing Eric Clapton's Cocaine, right? That's been played on the radio for years and years. And she comes in, and granted, now this is in North Mississippi, where I went to school. So I was a DJ at the local radio station, and that's like the buckle of the Bible Belt, right? So she comes in with her hair pulled back, just like, eh. And she says, "You need to stop playing that song right now with the drug references." And I just kind of looked at her like, "Get the fuck out of here." And so later I got called into the owner's office, and the guy's like, "Well, she came in there and she said you were mean to her." I said, "Yeah, I was." He goes, "Well, you should apologize to her." "Nah, I'm not gonna do that." Okay. And then that was it. So very interesting times in radio back then. But now it's
Yeah.
like, do people even listen to the radio anymore?
I don't know
mean,
if they listen to F. I think some people still listen. I have Sirius XM in my Jeep. But
right.
so I listen to that in my Jeep, but I generally speaking, I stream stuff. Like I don't really listen
Yeah, it's
to
like
like FM radio.
Spotify and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right?
When I
Yeah.
was in high school, I actually wanted to be a DJ. I was going to go to broadcast school. I interned at CD 101 in Columbus, Ohio. I got a lot of free concerts that way. It's a good idea to do.
Nice.
Yeah, because all we used to have to do as interns, we would go and hand out like bumper stickers and shit before the show, and then we got to stay for the show, and it was like, oh, okay,
That's
I could
cool.
totally do that. So yeah, I actually got to meet a couple of different bands. I got to meet like Stabbing Westward and oh, who else did I meet? Oh, a bunch of people. But yeah, they used to have this thing called the big room where they'd have people come in and do like acoustic performances, and yeah, it was fun. But yeah, I definitely like music is therapy. Like this show and music is my therapy. Always has been.
Yeah,
Music has
music.
saved me a ton of like in money and therapy bills. For real.
Back in my angst days, whenever I was always like the guy that who would get spurned by some girl in school, and I was just I get in the car, and we always call it go for a ride. Me and a buddy, he
Cruise.
was it's
Go
like,
for a
he said we
cruise.
gotta take the ride, don't we? He goes, yeah, we pop in some music and we drive like all up,
Go
it
get
was like
high.
rural area. Yeah, well, I was kind of a square back then. I was a late
Oh,
bloomer. I didn't start smoking pot till I was in my 20s. I started drinking when I was like around 18, so um,
okay. I started smoking weed
I'm a
and
little
drinking around 15-ish.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not a
you were
big
like
drinker though. I've never really been like a big drinker. I went through phases where I would drink a lot and then I back off. Like currently I haven't. Like I think I had a couple beers maybe a few months ago or whatever, because Sam Adams has Oktoberfest that comes out and I love it. It's like
nice.
that's my basic white girl thing is every instead of like pumpkin spice, I gotta go get my Oktoberfest. So
Nice.
that's my basic bitch thing. But yeah, but I don't drink a lot. But like weed's always been super helpful to me. It's like it helps with my ADHD, it helps with my anxiety, it helps with my insomnia, helps with my headaches. So I've always been a big fan of the marijuana. Big fan. Big
I tell
fan.
you,
10 out of 10.
the first time the people that turned me on to pot was the first TV station I worked at. There was a videographer and he was a assignment editor, and the TV station was literally out in the middle of a cow pasture, right? So these guys would go with trash bags and they'd go pick the mushrooms underneath the cow patties, and so I'm over at their place, and I'm like, I don't know. I think Nancy Reagan scared the hell out of me. Like, just say no. So I never did doobies or anything like that, because I
You
thought
didn't
maybe
do the
I'd
pot?
go kill somebody. I didn't do the pot, the Mary Jane,
Shrooms, lucky
and
burrito. I feel you, girl.
but
Shrooms.
I know they did, but I wasn't a square. I was just like, it just wasn't for me. And they said, you know what, it's time for you. You should smoke some of this. And it wasn't like a joint or nothing. They had like this bong. It was about yay
Yeah.
big, and it was actually a bong. They knew the band Blind Melon. You ever
Yes, of
heard of them?
course. Yeah, of
A
course.
lot of them are from North Mississippi, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they knew them. So they would go smoke out over at the Blind Melon house in North Mississippi. Anyway,
Oh,
they gave him a bong. Yeah, I know. So the first time I got to smoke pot was out of a Blind Melon bong. And I was sick as a dog. I was just like
really?
nauseous. Yeah,
Oh.
that was the first time. The first time. And I was like, oh man, what the hell is this bullshit? Fuck this. So later, like maybe like a week later or something like that, one of the same buddies, he comes over to my place. He said, look, that happens a lot. The first time it fucks people up, they're not used to it. He said, usually the second time they're good. And sure enough, he had this little brass pipe, and we're smoking it. And I swear, I was sitting on my couch, and all of a sudden I'm just like, hey man, I can't feel my feet. And I looked down, I was like, yeah, they're still there. And he just looks at me and he goes, what? And then we just both, ah! And from then on, I was just like, yeah, give me those pots. I want all those pots.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
them. I
Yeah,
want some.
Larry and Gamer have never had shrooms. Listen, fams, I highly recommend it. I really do. I highly recommend it. Shrooms are a great well, I shouldn't say um personal choice, but I mean it to me it's a great experience. It's you see things differently, things make a different amount of sense to you, if that makes sense. Like Nico says, you can have a date with your shadow. You can like figure things out. It really does open you up. I mean, it really does though. It really does open you up to different perspectives, to different, I don't know.
I,
It's hard to
I tell
explain.
you, I tried mushroom tea once in college, and I don't think they brewed it right or something, because that didn't do anything for me. But I read this book by Rick Strassman, and it's called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. I know everybody, Joe Rogan and DMT, but it's a very fascinating book, and it's like they did this study in the 90s. It was they like it's a Schedule 1 drug, I believe, but somehow they were allowed. I can't remember what it was, at a college or something, but they were allowed to do these experiments like on people for like a few months or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all different kinds of people from all walks of life. You know, rich people, poor people. You know, every color of the rainbow, every walk of life. You know, blue collar, white collar, whatever. And they all had the same, mostly the same experience. Like they saw a lot of geometric shapes, and then there was like this chrysanthemum, and then the chrysanthemum opened up, and there was this tunnel, and you went through the tunnel of light, and you got to the other side, and there was like these creatures that you could talk to, and the creatures differed. And I always thought, you know what, I want to do that. But I want to do it right. I don't want to be like, you know, go behind the Popeyes, you know, with
Right.
Julio that's selling
No, you
DMT.
want to do it in a safe. I mean, this is going to sound lame, but a safe space. You're going to want to find a safe
Yeah.
space. But you do. I mean, and you want to be with people that you trust, and that you enjoy,
Yes.
and that, you know, because you can't. It is possible. It's rare, but it is possible to have a bad experience. I've
Yeah.
never had a bad experience personally, but I know people that have, and it is, you know, it can be scary. But if you go into it in the right frame of mind, and you're not, I mean, you can't be anxious about it. You can't like get yourself all worked up into knots. It just go in open-minded and calm. And, you know, it's generally a really, seriously, I've never had a bad experience. It's and I've done shrooms many times. And it's always been a great experience. It always does kind of open me up. And you can microdose too. I mean, microdosing is great. There's a lot of studies currently that show that it's really effective in treating depression. It would be great if we could actually get some studies on it, but because I've dealt with depression my entire life. But if you microdose, that you don't have to really necessarily worry about having a bad trip. But yeah, just do it with people that you trust. Do it in a safe environment, and have fun. I really want to go on an ayahuasca adventure. I really want to
That's
do
what I was
that.
about to say. I want to go. I want to go down to Peru. I want to go. I want to find a legit shaman,
Yeah.
and do it up and do it everything right. You know, because
Yes.
ayahuasca, I've heard,
Is
is
next
like,
level, like mind bending, open you up to whole, like figure your shit out kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. There's
really.
been people, yeah, like people who are depressed. They had
Mhm.
severe depression, and they done that, and it
People who
just
have
like
like been
helped kind
dealing
of
with
straighten them out.
trauma, like childhood trauma or whatever, who have like been able to, you know, figure their shit out. Yeah, we should schedule that. Like we should all, like a bunch of us freaks on Twitter should get together and schedule like a retreat, an ayahuasca retreat in Peru. That would be
Yes,
amazing. That would be so
I would
fun.
be totally down for that. I
I
tell
would
you,
too.
Steve is a good salesman for those Matrix bars too.
Mhm.
I want to try. I'm very curious about those. Have you tried one of
I have
those?
not tried them yet. I contacted them about ordering some, and then they contacted me back with the information, and then I got distracted with some shit. And I still have some shrooms. I got some shrooms a while ago, so it's not like I'm out or anything. So but yeah, I do want to try them because I've heard that they're really good. But yeah, I should hype them. I should hype them at the beginning of one of the shows. Like that should be one of my, I should do that next week maybe. Because yeah, I've heard they're really good,
That
but I
would
need to try them. I need to try them first. Like I'm not gonna pitch anything that I haven't tried yet. So I'm gonna try them. I'll try them
Yeah, that
personally
makes sense.
first. Yeah.
But you say you have shrooms still? You have
Mm-hmm.
shrooms in your possession? We need to hang out sometime. I will make the trip. You ain't got to go anywhere. I'll
All
come to
right.
you. I always need a good excuse to get out of town. And my lady, she's kind of straight as an arrow, but you know, she don't
My
drink, she
husband's
don't
the same
smoke. What
way.
does she do?
My
Yeah, but you
husband's the
know,
same
she's good
way.
support. She doesn't bust my balls over it or anything. I'm sure
No.
you know your hubby's the same way. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, you don't have balls, but you know what I mean.
I do. They're
Uh,
just invisible.
whoa, invisible.
I used to, when I was growing up, because like people used to, growing up, I used to get the whole, you're like a dude, like you're just like a dude. And I'm like, well, I have balls. They're just invisible. You just can't see them. My balls are on the inside. But I used to get that a
You're
lot.
what
Like you're, You're a dude. You're basically a dude. No, I'm not a dude, but okay. You know what I mean?
You're what the scholars call a cool chick. And
Well,
I
I
like
mean,
the
girly
fact that you
girls can be
use
cool
chick.
chicks too, I guess. I do use chick. I'm like I'm not like, I don't know. I hate like the whole stereotype, like girly girl or tomboy or whatever. Blah. But growing up, I was
You're a chick.
always,
You're
yeah,
a chick.
yeah,
I know I have plenty of friends, female friends who are chicks. You know,
yeah.
they got a little bit of girly. They got a little bit of
I don't have
tomboy,
a whole lot of
but
girly, I'll be honest. I don't. I really
well,
don't.
your hair is very nice though. You used to, wasn't it pink, or was it like
Yeah,
at one
I
point?
so my guy several months ago convinced me to start doing like crazy colors because I can. And in high school and stuff, I always did crazy colors. So I've been through multiple different. So I was 30. See, I'm 39 now. I was probably like 36 the first time I ever had my hair professionally dyed. Because I always
Yeah.
just used to do my own shit. But I found this really awesome guy who I love. His name's Ethan. He's great. He's like a friend of mine now. But like he does my hair and he talked me into because he's always wanted to like be able to mess around with color, but not a lot of people are into it. So he's like, can we try some like funky color? So like for like the past 3 months or so, he's been doing it. So it's been rainbow, it's been red, it's been pink, it's been like blue and green. Right now this is blurple. Is what he called it. And
Blurple.
then there's like, yeah, and then there's like some green, which you can't really see on camera. There's like green in the back, and like underneath. But yeah,
Well, you
but I'm
copped it
not,
pretty well.
yeah, I'm not super girly. Like I don't I'm like a t-shirt and jeans, drinking a beer, watching football kind of girl. You know what I mean? Like
But
that's
you're a lot like my girl. My girl is the same way. She doesn't like getting dressed up and stuff like
no.
that, but
Oh god, no.
she's all about comfort.
Yeah.
She's about, and I'm down with that. I'm like, I can't wait for fall and winter to come around because it's hoodie and sweatpants weather, and
Mm.
then that's all you'll see me in, unless I got to go somewhere important. You're gonna see
I
my
never
ass
have
in
to
some
go anywhere
sweatpants.
important. The only time I ever have to go anywhere important is every once in a while. Like once a year, my husband has something for work that we might have to dress up for, and it sucks. I hate it every single time. It's miserable. It's only for like 3 or 4 hours, but it's like the worst 3 or 4 hours of my life. And the minute we get back to the hotel room, I'm like stripping down and getting into like
Yeah,
sweats and a t-shirt. And yeah, I hate it. I hate it. I'm not a dressing up kind of person. It's not my thing. I don't like heels. I don't like doing my hair. I don't like doing my makeup. If I could get away with showing up on camera, like with, no makeup and like a sweatshirt on, I would totally do that.
I
But
would. I had to at one point. I was working a job that I had to wear dress pants, a button-up shirt, and a tie, and
I
I
worked
felt
at
like I
Olive
was
Garden.
hell. Yeah,
I
it
worked
was.
at Olive
This was
Garden for 5 years. Oh,
this was a. I was working at a job placement service, which is funny because I got fired from it, which is kind of ironic because it's a job placement service. But I said, you guys are kind of doing this all
uh,
wrong. You kind of need to hire people instead of.
yeah.
But the irony was lost on them. So, but
Funny
I
how
always
that
held that
works.
close to
Yeah.
my heart.
Yeah. I worked at Olive Garden. That was like the dressy, uppest place I've ever had to work, I think.
Ugh.
And that wasn't even that bad. You just had to wear like black at the time. They've changed it now. I've been in there since, and it's about fucking time because they used to have us wear. I don't know why I'm ranting about this because I haven't worked there in fucking years, but you had to wear
It's
black pants, but then you had to wear a white button-up shirt, a white apron, and a tie in a fucking Italian restaurant. You're gonna make me wear white? Are you joking me? Like that's the
there's a lot of
dumbest thing I've
red
ever heard
sauce
of.
going around. Yeah,
Yes.
there's a lot of red sauces
And if
that do
your
not come
shirt was
out.
stained or whatever, you would get sent home. And I'm like, y'all, I'm not really. And now I've been in there since, and now they were black. They were all black because that used to be something we complained about all the fucking time. Like, you need to change the uniform, and they finally did it. They finally did it. Oh, yeah. Lucky worked at IHOP. I worked at restaurants for a very long time. I love restaurants. I have severe ADHD, and my brain is very happy in that controlled chaos. You know what I mean? Like that's my brain
I,
lives very happily in that environment.
I worked, let's see, early 90s. It wasn't so much a restaurant because people hardly came in. It was a pizza joint, and I made pizzas. And so we did a lot of deliveries and stuff. So, but I did work in this when I was in college. I worked at this bar for 2 weeks, and the last night I worked, I had this plate. I had this like big tray, and it had all kinds of drinks on there. And I go up to the table, and I'm not exactly the most stable person. You know, I grew up with like hyperactivity and shit. Like, I think you know where this is going. And I get up to the table, and I straight up Kramered that shit. It was like, yeah, and all the drinks went flying, and I was so embarrassed.
Yeah, it sucks.
I didn't even come back from my check. I said, fuck it, I'm not coming back there.
Yeah,
I don't want the shame.
Yeah, my first day on the floor at Olive Garden, actually. So you go through a week of training, and then like your last day of training, you work a shift on the floor, and you're still getting paid hourly, so you're not on tips, and you don't get any tips. Your trainer gets all your tips, but you like run it like a 2-table section or whatever. And my very first day on the floor at Olive Garden, I dropped a tray full of salad and soups. If you guys are familiar with Olive Garden, you know salad and soup bullshit, all over the damn floor. All over the damn floor. It was very embarrassing. My very first day on the floor. But yeah, I love that environment. Like, that is really like my sweet spot. If I could go back to restaurants, I would 100% go back to restaurants. I cannot do that because my kids, specifically my oldest, need a reliable schedule, a stable schedule, and my husband works in restaurants, so both of us working in restaurants would not provide a stable schedule. So I cannot go back to restaurants, but if I could, I would, because I genuinely loved it. I was a server, I was a manager, I did some busing, I was a hostess at some time, basically anything front of the house. I was a bartender. Bartending is so much fun. I bartended at like a sports bar type place. Dude, I made so much fucking money. I made so much fucking money. Right? Because I know sports. And a girl behind a bar who knows sports at a sports bar, you're going to make a lot of money. And I made a lot of money. I did make a lot of money. Lots.
I'll tell you, the bar that bar that I only worked at 2 weeks, a month later, it burned to the ground. It wasn't me. But I mean, you know, I'm crazy, but I ain't that crazy. But I thought that was a sign, like, dude, you got out probably at the right time. I thought about being a bartender once, but
it's fun.
You know, I don't know.
It's not for everybody.
Fun. I mean,
it's not for everybody. It is hard. It's a lot of stress. You have to deal with drunk people, you have to deal with assholes and Karens, and you have to deal with, depending on where you work, you also have to deal with servers and all of that stuff. You have to make drinks for servers and all of that. So it's not for everybody. It is very fast paced. It's very chaotic. But that again, because of my brain, I love that. I love the fact that it is very fast paced. It's like constant motion. It's constant. Everything's different. Like no 2 shifts are the same. It's like constantly evolving and changing, and there's different challenges and all of that stuff. But that's like exactly where my brain loves to live. Like that is the sweet spot. Like I call it controlled chaos, and the restaurant industry is like the perfect embodiment of controlled chaos. I love it. It's so much fun. Oh,
I tell you, I used to do stand up out at this little place called the Big Fish in Glendale, right outside of LA. And I always thought if I was going to open a bar, I would open a place like that because it was small. You had your one bar there. I mean, they had your regulars and whatnot. So it was making decent money. It's closed now, but it had a stage, and I would totally open this place to do comedy nights, to do open mic nights, because there was this coffee shop down south in North Mississippi where I was that had that. It was a coffee shop, but they also sold beer there too. And they had like a stage every Wednesday night. They had open mic night, and me and my buddy Shane would get up there and just sing these really, really filthy parody songs. Totally, if we were around today, totally get canceled.
Yeah,
totally get canceled. And we were in the buckle of the Bible Belt too. We were singing some pretty nasty shit. But I always loved that place because it was like it was quaint. You know, I mean, like huge places I'm not a big fan of, but like a smaller place, like pubs and stuff like that with the little stage, get somebody up there playing guitar, you know, it's very chill.
I totally wish I could open my own joint. That would be so fun to like run my own joint. I can't. My kids need, like a reliable schedule. They need somebody.
Put them to work. Make him work. Come on. This is make
Dude,
it
my
like
oldest
a
is
film
autistic.
fund.
There's no way she could handle working in a bar. There's no way. The too much sensory shit. There's too much sensory shit for her in there. She's
She could
getting
be the
older.
bouncer. She could be the bouncer.
She could be
She
the
could just
bouncer,
stay
actually.
outside with the dog that she likes.
Yeah.
And then like, no, fucker, you're not on the list. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because
I get you.
who's gonna expect a little kid to be a bouncer? I'd be like, oh fuck, man, this kid probably has like some magic ninja skills that I don't know of. I'm getting the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? So a little reverse psychology. Anyway, I'll help you if you want. I will come to where you are, and I will help you because I'm down for the cause. I think having a place like that would be awesome.
I think it would be so fun. I think it would be, and I would be good at running one, not the business end necessarily, because I'm really terrible at that stuff. But like running a bar, like running an establishment like that, being able to take care of people and have fun and make it a fun environment, I could totally do that. I could 100%.
Well, see, we could get my lady involved because she's like a total back of house person. She's
okay, that's not me.
She's done like she's done accounting type jobs. We met at Borders Books. I started working there here in New York, and that's where I met her. And she worked in the cash office, right? And she loves it because she's away from people. She can't stand people. And I said, well, you live in New York. I don't know how that works, but okay. But she would be totally down. You let her run the business, and she's like Rain Man with that shit, man.
That's like, my husband's really good at the business end of stuff. I am not at all.
See, those two would like make that place $1 trillion, and then you're running the joint, and I'm helping out like the social butterfly, like maybe getting some activities and stuff for the bar too. See,
yeah, it's fun. Like that part of it. That part of it is fun. I like the front of the house stuff. I can do that. So yeah, we should. I could totally envision myself running my own joint. I really could. But it is expensive to start something like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially nowadays too.
Yeah.
With like leases and stuff going,
and liquor licenses and
all that.
It's a bunch of.
But if you decide you're going to do it, I'm totally 100% serious. If you decide you're going to do this, I will uproot myself. I'll get my girl to move over there too.
To Ohio.
We will help you out, and we will make it. Although I was kidding with Andrew earlier today on Twitter.
I saw that about being kicked out of Cleveland.
I can't go back to Cleveland. Not after
Cleveland should kick itself out of Cleveland. Let's be real.
Poor Cleveland.
Yeah.
Browns fans.
I know.
Cavaliers won a championship.
That's true. But the Browns, man, y'all, I feel bad for Browns fans. They're very loyal though. Browns fans are fucking loyal. Oh,
it was
at least
so
we got the Buckeyes.
At least we got the Buckeyes.
We got the Buckeyes.
Well, yeah, you got the Buckeyes too.
We got the Buckeyes.
Yeah. And they moved the Browns too. They moved them to Baltimore, and they're like, "Oh, fuck you too," you know.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they got their team back. So you know.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine worked. I guess, but he worked in Columbus, I think. At Case
I love
Western.
Columbus.
Where's that at? Where's Case Western at? Is that in Columbus? The college?
There is a Case Western in Columbus. I don't know if it's a branch though.
Okay, that's where a buddy of mine, my oldest friend, first person I ever met in first grade, and now he's like a science dude. He's always been like into like dinosaurs, and we would always like into science fiction and stuff like that. And now he's a fucking scientist. So hopefully one day I'll get him on the show and we can just talk about science shit, and he can prove how stupid I am about science, because I'm thinking like, yeah, there's people on Mars. There's got to be people on Mars, right?
Yeah.
No, there's no people on Mars, dude.
Larry just said, Larry in the comments, Larry just said, Missy struggles with anxiety and public speaking, but could totally run an awesome bar. And that is exactly my personality right there. That is exact, because I do struggle with anxiety and public speaking, but running a bar is not exactly public speaking. It's different. It's more like one-on-one with a guest. It's not like a big crowd of people. And so I'm good there.
Right.
Like I'm good. If I'm like one-on-one with somebody, I'm good there. If it's like a small group of people, I'm good there. You put me in front of more than 10 people and I freak the fuck out and I like panic.
I was talking to Rick Overton on Twitter, and we were talking about comedy, and I said, yeah, because he does a lot of improv type comedy, and I said that's more my thing, is like making up shit. But doing scripted stuff in front of a whole bunch of strangers. I'm not really, that's not really my thing, but you get me at a party one-on-one with people, or like, me with two other people or something, and we're just yucking it up, and then like a few more people come over, and then you got like a little scrum there of people, then that's all right. But like, if you got to do like the whole thing, I want no part of that. I will bomb like nobody's business.
I'm super awkward. I get really nervous. Like when I guess hosted one of our Assange protests in DC, and that was really nerve-wracking. I get really it's like serious anxiety. Like I'm convinced that I'm going to say something stupid, and then I get in my head about that, and so then I say something stupid because I've convinced myself I'm going to, and then I panic because I said something stupid, so then I say something stupider. And it's like this weird like snowballing effect. It's not good. It's not very good. It's not good at all. Somebody said, I think Phenomenal Mysticism said, I think Misty would do great on one of RT's crosstalk panels. I could probably do that. Because again, if it's just like one-on-one or like a group of like a small group, I can do that stuff. And now I've gotten to the point where being on camera doesn't make me nervous anymore. I kind of forget I'm on camera most of the time, which is bad in some cases, because there are times I say shit that I probably shouldn't say on camera. But again, I don't give a fuck. But yeah, so I could probably do something like that. Like I've gotten better at like I go on fault lines sometimes. Jamarl and Shane are very kind to have me on to talk about Julian Assange whenever something is happening in the case, which I'm very grateful to them for doing that. And I've gotten better at that kind of stuff, those kinds of appearances. I used to be terrible at them because it's difficult to figure out how to fit all of the information you want to get out, because it's like a 15-minute spot. So you have 15 minutes and you have to get out the information that you need to get out. And I think that's part of the reason why I talk so fast is because of that. But yeah, I've gotten a lot better at, what do they call it? Your elevator pitch. I've gotten better at that on my Assange stuff. That's something that's something I have actively worked on, because I used to be really bad about, because there's so much when it comes to the Assange stuff. It's very easy to get distracted or off onto like some tangent or whatever. So I've learned to like really focus, but I had to like legitimately actively work on that. Like,
well, you have to on fault lines, because Jamarl and Shane will ask those 10-minute long questions, and you get to the end, you're like, what the hell was the question? Because I mean, God love them. I mean, they're smart guys, but it's just like,
I get it.
What is it? What is it they say? Less this, more this.
Yeah.
Like
honestly,
and then the guest only gets like 5 minutes. You're like, what the fuck?
I've gotten kind of like, I had people warn me about that in advance of me going on there the first time. And so it's not uncommon for me to cut them off. And I hope that they don't think that I'm being rude, but I just genuinely am trying to get information out there. And so if I already know what you want to talk about, I know what you're trying to ask me, I would rather just go ahead and get it out, because there's stuff it's too important. It's too important for me to waste that amount of time. And I genuinely like both of them. If this is not a slam on them in any way whatsoever.
They're really cool.
And listen, they're one of few people who regularly and consistently cover Julian Assange in a real way. And so I am incredibly great. And I have disagreements with them, because there's going to be people coming at me about Jamarl believes in this or some whatever. I don't care. I don't care, because here's the thing. It's bigger than my ego. I have disagreements with them. They cover Julian Assange on a regular basis, and I'm incredibly grateful to them for it. So yeah, I can disagree with them on other things and still be very appreciative of the opportunity to come on and talk about Julian Assange on a regular basis. And they don't just have me. They have people like John Kiriakou and a whole host of other people who are amazing to talk about Julian Assange. And when you're facing a damn near complete media blackout, that's appreciated. It's appreciated in a big way. So yeah. Anyway, we should probably wrap this up. It's like 9:30 now. I can hear my kids.
Holy shit.
I know. I just looked at, like, I already knew it was flying, because like the first time I looked down, it was already like 8:13, and I'm like, oh shit, we're an hour and 13 minutes in already. But now it's 9:34. And so yeah, we should probably wrap this up. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find you, Independent News Network, your show, all that good stuff?
Yes, I am part of the Indie News Network. We are I think it's Get Indie News on Twitter. I I have to look that. We're still fairly new, so I'm still trying to remember all these. Extrabula on Twitter, also W Dearman, Dearman, like you are writing a letter to man. That's how people I tell people that, and said no antlers. Dear. And I'm all over the place now. I'm starting to grow more. I'm on let's see, I'm on Odyssey now, and I'm also just open. I got a Rumble account as well. So yeah, and then I'm on the Linktree too. So it's like linktree.com/extrabula, and that's like all my links are on there. So I'm gonna be tomorrow night. I'm gonna have like I said, I'm gonna have Rick Overton, Emmy-winning writer, comedian, actor, one of my comedic heroes. I'm so excited about that. That's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then next week is Thanksgiving, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is next week. So I will be doing nothing but eating next week. So no show. And I'm gonna get you back on sometime too. What I'd love to do, if we can do it, if we can work out the logistics, I want to get you and Fee on at the same time.
I get that. We get
Dual
that a lot.
chicks.
Yeah, I get that.
Dual
People always
chicks.
say we need a Misty and Fee. We need you guys to get. And I've had her on my show. I've been on her show, but for whatever reason, people like Misty and Fee together.
I've seen you guys together. You guys are awesome. I want to get in the mix, though. I want to get in the. I want to be a resident of Crazy Town. You know what I mean? I want to get in there and have some fun with you broads. When I say broads,
it's fine.
I'm old school, but also I mean it as a term of endearment. That if I call you a broad,
dude, the name of my show is Bitch.
You're aces.
You know,
there you go.
I'm not easily offended by that shit. I'm not. I get people. Some people are. I'm not. It's fine.
That's one of the things I love about you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Before we close out, just another heads up to everybody to go check out Revolutionary Art Collective. I'll throw that up on the screen one more time. There's a lot of really amazing artists there. Treat yourself to some art. I am particularly fond of Artsy Marxists, obviously. I wish I could. You can't really see it, but there's my Eric painting. If you guys aren't aware of who Eric is, he is a 93-year-old activist in London. And dude never misses a protest. He's out there like twice a week, every week. He's amazing. I love him. And so I commissioned a painting of him because he is an inspiration to me. And yeah, I love Eric. He's my friend. So, and also,
can I say one?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say just one thing. I always like to shout out the chat. Thanks everybody for coming out for this.
They're the best.
Appreciate y'all. Love all y'all. I know most of these guys and gals.
Oh, Orange Duke is here. I didn't see Orange Duke. And Fred. Hey, Fred. I'm really bad at watching the chat. I've been trying to get better.
Fred said he's like 6'7". Did you know that?
Holy shit, dude.
Isn't that right, Fred? Aren't you 6'7"? You said that.
That's fucking tall.
I'm like, I'm 6'4", and it's very rare for me to look up to people. When I do, I'm just like, oh, so that's how people feel.
I'm 5'9", and that's pretty tall for a girl, but geez, Louise, 6'7"'s ridiculous. Anyway,
that's yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so before I close out, I'm gonna shamelessly plug my own bullshit. Two things actually. First, I have a GoFundMe. I'll share it real quick. Before I started doing Assange stuff hardcore, I was, again, like I already said once before, I was really into mutual aid. And one of the things when I was running the local mutual aid group that I ran here in my local community, one of my favorite things that we did is we used to make supply boxes for teachers. And usually what would happen is I would make like one big giant box of stuff, and then I would take it to different schools. And most of the time the schools keep it in the office or like the staff room or whatever, and then teachers just come and take what they need when they need it. So I have a fundraiser up. I just put it in the chat. I think we're up to like $435 so far. I'm going to go out and buy a bunch of supplies for teachers and take those around before. I think I'm going to run the GoFundMe until December 15th, and then that'll give me enough time to like go shopping and then make the boxes before the Christmas break. Because I love teachers. Growing up, I wanted to be a teacher until I grew up and realized I don't have the patience for that shit. So I love teachers, and that was one of my favorite things that we used to do. So I'm doing that again. Because I'm going to try to start getting back into some mutual aid stuff as I have time. which that's not really a thing, but and then one other thing that I wanted to plug is this Saturday, I'm having Jesse Jett on my show again for a live stream. It's going to be unbelievably awesome. It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. He has a new spoken word album coming out called The Coming of Spring. And he's going to perform the entire album from front to back on the show on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. You're not going to want to miss it. It's like those are my favorite shows ever. I love Jesse Jett. His spoken word stuff is really, really amazing. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that. So that'll be on Facts on the Ground, Saturday at 8 p.m. Jesse Jett, The Coming of Spring. I'm so excited. I'm like giddy like a schoolgirl. Jesse Jett's one of my favorite people. That's going to be fun. So those are the only two things I have, I think, to plug really. So thanks to everybody in the chat. Thank you for coming on, Warren. This was fun. And I don't know who I'm having on next week or if I'm having anybody on. I forgot the next week was Thanksgiving. Maybe I won't do a show. Maybe I will. I don't fucking know. We'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know on Twitter. Other than that, I think that's all I have for you guys. So we will see you next time, whenever that happens to be. Bye, guys.